undefeated streak of SK Telecom at Worlds. Did end up being Haru on the Camille, and can be a really fun matchup between the Camille and the Jarvan. A lot of mobility, a lot of gank threat from both of them. Waiting for the Keystones to let us know. There they are. And Phase Rush being taken by Crown.
Haru coming in here early, making things interesting, trying to push Faker out of the lane.
One rotation, does a lot of damage.
He's forcing Faker to go back and switch to TP potentially. Faker does stay, still has one of the procs on his potion. And of course with the Inspiration Tree, you can get some more regen with that.
So when it comes to the other choice, Wolf will be potentially doing some cross-map plays, but answered by Core JJ. Both the supports are taking the Unsealed spell, but becoming the standard. Phase Rush on Crown. Most interesting one here. So not going to be for lane presence, not the Summoner area, it's not the Comet. It is Phase Rush, just for, you know, the kind of machine gun play. It gives you that slow resistance, 75% slow resistance. You are able to proc 3 spells pretty easily as a Cassiopeia once you start hitting your full rotation. That's really about teamfights, is to stop him being kited as easily. Of course, the query is, will he not just be womboed to death by the enemy team? As Haru not having the most fun with the Krugs.
Is he going to have time to get 3 spells off before he gets dunked by the combo of Galio Jarvan? Was very surprised that they let that go through. We've seen the effectiveness of that before.
But not the effectiveness by SKT in particular. That was with Blank, but their synergy on similar Galio-Zac comps and other comps very similar to this one has been off. Their communication clearly was not fantastic. Now there's a couple less cooks in the booth. There's no longer Untara, there's no longer Blank, both of which with significant competitive experience. What it actually means for their communication now that they have a true rookie in Blossom and Tal, who's played, what, 11 games, is very interesting to see. They've reinforced bot lane, no effort in the lineup. There is Wolf here again. Does that mean they actually have their timings down? Because again, it's been very noticeable that SKT have been off when it comes to their usual teamfight synergy.
You have to wonder where they're putting the leadership in their team. We've talked about this before, but as more and more rookies make it into the lineup, is it Faker? Is it Wolf? Is it a combination of them? Does Bang even talk in the comms? Is he any part of the decision making? All big questions to keep in mind. And we're seeing Haru return to mid lane once again, just trying to push Faker back and hopefully out of the lane. So far it's been pretty even. Hasn't really fallen down to the pressure of Cassiopeia.
There's so many questions with SKT. What is their best 5-man roster? I can understand going with this 5-man roster today, but will this be their roster come summer season? Will they be reinforcing? Do they have ultra confidence?
Will there be someone new?
Exactly. These are all questions we can't know the answer to. Blossom is so fresh, and it's fresh for a gank as well.
Well, they did see him in there. I think there was a zombie ward that spotted him out, so Kive doing the smart thing. The lane is pushing anyway, so it doesn't have to be on top of the wave. Spots Jarvan coming in, knows the positioning, and kind of return to the lane. It's interesting to see the phase rush. You were mentioning that before. I think a lot of people agree that it is one of the current worst runes that we do have out of them all, but Cassiopeia might just be the one person to use it effectively. One or two people.
It's very situational. I agree that the power level could be higher to take it more in a blind sense. There's no champion who you would say is best with phase rush, except maybe Aurelion Sol, and even then Unsealed Spellbook probably outscales it, at least on patch 8.2.
Not bad.
Yeah, Glacial Augment not bad. So given how situational it is, very, very low usage in solo queue, I can understand the view that it's underpowered. I'm very interested to see how it's adjusted, because I think more numbers is not necessarily what it needs. Maybe easier to proc. But
then again, 2 spells is like, there are a lot of people who have 2 spell combinations, and all of a sudden everybody's going to be taking phase rush and rushing around the map.
Well, that would be akin to the old rune that it replaced, of course, the Storm Raider Surge that did end up being the go-to by the time we hit Worlds. Again, I'm not on the balance here. I don't have this solution, but it just feels too situational right now. When it comes to the secondary tree, it is going to be Presence of Mind taken. Thank you, SpoTV, for reacting there. That was what I was expecting. Whenever you see a mid lane mage going down that tree, you can be very confident that it's going to be Presence of Mind, just to have the mana cost disregarded on level up and also on kill.
Yeah. And then, of course, coup de grace at the end of it there. Just give her a little bit of extra damage towards the end.
A little bit more
We're looking again. And, of course, did take Scorch on the Cassiopeia that can be very oppressive in the lane.
Right
We haven't really seen it too much against Faker, but maybe the Gathering Power would have been better in this case.
Yeah, the Gathering Storm could have been considered, but his role is to hold down Faker in the early game, to keep him in lane. The issue that he has is that he has that secondary problem of not necessarily the matchup against Galio, it's the fact that Jarvan isn't, there's no aggressive wards. They have no idea where Jarvan is. If Cassio dies twice in lane, she may never crest the items she needs to be able to boss around either Vladimir or the Galio in a side lane. So there's a lot of risk to the Cassio pick. That's why she's playing a bit more respectful as top lane.
Yeah, we got a close look at this earlier on in the CGs we had prepared, and already the more experienced top laner is getting the better of our newer rookie Tal, who doesn't even stay to take the wave. Actually just takes TP and goes back, so is going to miss a bit.
And okay, very interesting purchase. Does not go towards the Proto Belt. He's actually going to buy straight up the AP Sightstone item as a one buy here. Now this, of course, doesn't give the speed up anymore. Does give the vision, does give gold generation, does have health scaling to AP. It's a very interesting purchase coming in here.
Well, it's certainly going to help out with their vision score as a team, that's for sure.
Of course, does not get the vision until the quest is fully enacted, so take time.
Haru in a bit of trouble here, but is Camille. Nice Cataclysm coming on in. They force the flash away. Even the heroic entrance being blown here, they really wanted that flash against Haru.
Yeah, the flash was proactive because, you know, when you see a Cataclysm used there, you know the only reason to do that is the hero's entrance. Trading Haru's flash for the hero's entrance being on cooldown for a long time is a trade up when it comes to the safety for the laners. Haru's trying to turn on to Tal.
See what he can get done here. Haru was recalling, and Tal in by himself. What the hell? They put themselves over the wall, and now Galio's here to help out. A huge mistake by the side of KSV, almost laughable at the time. And Tal gets away.
Yeah, the mind games around the blast plant was available to all three people, but outplayed by Tal. Very nice there. We'll live from all of this. Haru will go on the invade, feeling a bit sheepish. They weren't able to secure first blood. QV, well, he's on, so he doesn't care. Just buys an item and goes back to lane, but
I just want to get a slow-mo replay of exactly what happened there.
There was no real time for Haru to clear the blast plant before Vladimir got there, so there was always going to be a pretty specific timing. Haru's flash was down, so at least KSV didn't invest any flashes to make that even more laughable. But amusing result nonetheless.
Yeah, it's always funny to play around with the plants. We'll see if they add any more things to the map in the future. Maybe Season 9. We'll have to wait and see.
Season 9, the dream. Coming to a rift near you. Brown just walks away. We do get the Gathering Storm that I was looking for on OGN days. Faker taking it interestingly on the Galio.
Yeah, and a lot of Ezreal's taking it as well, down in the bottom lane.
I mean, you build so much mana that you don't need things like the mana flow ban, so I can understand it there. And if you're on KSV, long games against SKT are very, very possible. First buy here from Haru, very Rengar-esque. He's gone for the Tiamat first. Does this a lot in solo queue when he's on Rengar, and it's kind of a Rengar only usually. There was a time when Lee Sin's used to go for Tiamat into Hydra Rush, but we'll work on the Warrior Enchant second. It's not snowballing. Bot lane.
Okay, double dazzle here. Ezreal very safe, though, behind. Bang taking a little bit of damage in the front. Just some trading down in the bottom lane, even though the Relic Shield has gone bye-bye. Still don't have the most action in the bottom lane.
From SKT's perspective, you would expect that all they really want is for Bang and Wolf to go even, and that's kind of been their assignment ever since they joined the SKT squad in 2015. Hold on to the point, though, as Haru's mid lane.
Oh, nice block on the dash here. Faker still has the flash available, but there's the Miasma trying to burst him down. Not enough, and Faker, very Khan-esque, saves his flash. A very smart thing to do. Knew he wouldn't need it, that he could outlast the damage.
I'm sure he had one finger on the stopwatch just in case. Top lane again.
Oh, the Ignite comes in here. Now we do have the call. The Forge God wants to knock him up. The stopwatch is there. Here comes Blossom for the assist. And they do get Tal out of danger once again. He's been in danger a lot this game, Papa.
It's a good read by QV onto the incoming jungler. Stopwatch is already used. He got the maximum there. Didn't get the kill, but able to blow a lot of resources from Tal. And this also interrupts the Rift Herald that was started by Blossom. So Blossom has walked up taking a Drake, but tried to get the Rift Herald as well, not being able to. Clearly being called to focus on the neutrals here as the lanes are tricky. And coming back to bot lane, I think Wolf and Bang going even, because right now, if you're watching Korean solo queue ladder, Ruler and CoreJJ are actually only duoing. They're playing every single game as a duo. They have exactly identical games played on their fresh account and also LP, so they're playing exclusively together, potentially to crush in lane. Wolf is still splitting his time between jungling and support, so given that Bang and Wolf have never really as a duo been big duo partners in solo queue, Ruler and CoreJJ, the matchup doesn't demand it, but the recent form suggests that KSV winning through bot lane is one thing the coaches will be talking about.
Definitely is true. We talk a lot about practice. It's necessary in regular sports and in esports. And the team that's going to be practicing more generally will get better. It's not a new idea. It's not too hard to think about. So I like the idea from Ruler and CoreJJ to make that work.
And a big nickname for specifically Crown, but all of Samsung Galaxy into KSV were the Grinders, because these guys are famous for playing the most solo queue games of basically any professional team. They've always been known to play a lot of games. They may not have the natural talent of the best in the world like Faker, but they work so hard that it overcomes some of those things. You know, Crown famously, small effective champion ball. I think 2016, the Victor was the one everyone knew, but will work to learn champions or learn how to play against champions. He'll spam champions that don't fit his playstyle, like Lucian, just to understand them from the enemy's perspective. So it's always been how he plays. Cassio is comfort for him, though. So seeing if he can have a big game here when you look at the comp and you say, man, no Merc treads, because of course Cassio can't build boots, only has the cleanse. Yeah. It's a tricky assignment for him here, but it's one he opted into.
Well, we do have Blossom trying to make some kind of effect on the map over and over. As you mentioned, he did get the Ocean Drake before, but outside of that, hasn't really had an opportunity to make himself known. He's looking for a dive down on the bottom side. Chain of Corruption does get Braum stuck up here. Gonna jump aside, but Blossom was looking for the combo. They need to wait for the
no
minions to push
TPs
on in.
Cuvée or Crown.
Okay, and here we go. Galio making his way in. Nice dodge by Ruler, but it's 4-on-2 now with Cosmic Radiance. That's going to be enough to get one. Can they get two? The flash comes in from CoreJJ. Faker wants a little bit more, but there it comes in. And now Cuvée is going to TP down on the bottom lane. But again, 4-on-1, and he's all alone under turret. Should not matter. One knock up into the damage. Just a little bit more will do it. It's kind of funny to watch the Galio and the Jarvan and the Taric trying to get damage, but they cannot kill him. Baker's still trying to get on top of him. A double taunt, and finally they do it. Takes long enough, but that's going to be enough to get that down. Crown in the mid lane, and the Rift Herald being taken by Haru, just ignoring the bottom side, trying to get map objectives.
But it still ends up being 3 kills for SKT and KSV. What are they thinking? Crown did not have... He doesn't have the teleport because he's gone cleanse. Cuvée had Ignite at the time, so only could go back and then very late teleport to the bot side. They could have just given up the objective and a single kill. The gank timing from SKT was intelligent. We haven't seen enough teams take advantage of summoners. Seen a lot of weird summoners in bot lane where 4 people have been rocking up with teleports. But the turret dive does come in with the Galio to reinforce. Ruler had expected there to be early action. He went Trinity Force to have some mid-game impact. That's not relevant when you're getting turret dive. It took a lot of extra time, which SKT would have preferred to be spent doing other things, but they still get the turret. They still get 3 kills, and KSV never disengaged.
It's definitely a moment in solo queue, especially in Korea, where everybody would be question pinging Haru and Crown, because it takes so long for them to finally kill everybody. And as you mentioned, yes, they could have just backed off, given up the tower. But had they rotated 2 more people, they could have just swept everybody on the side of SKT. They would have at least made it a lot more careful, or close rather, instead of just getting 1 extra turret.
I mean, Cuvée staying alive kind of makes the situation look worse from Crown and Haru. Haru was taking the Rift Herald. They wanted to crash mid lane turret to make a longer lane for Galio to be more expected the next time he comes in. That part makes sense. It's mid lane.
Okay, they're going for CoreJJ once again. They know his flash is down. This should be an easy kill. There it is. Even the TP from Tal. Not even needed on the backside, but they get the kill.
From SKT was intelligent. We haven't seen enough.
Well, we do have Blossom trying to make some kind of effect on the map over and over. As you mentioned, he did get the Ocean Drake before, but outside of that, hasn't really had an opportunity to make himself known. He's looking for a dive down on the bottom side. Chain of Corruption does get Braum stuck up here. Gonna jump aside, but Blossom was looking for the combo. They need to wait for the
no
minions to push
TPs
on
on
in.
Cuve or Crown.
Okay, and here we go. Galio making his way in. Nice dodge by Ruler, but it's 4-on-2 now with Cosmic Radiance. That's going to be enough to get one. Can they get two? The flash comes in from Core JJ. Faker wants a little bit more, but there it comes in. And now Cuve is going to TP down in the bottom lane. But again, 4-on-1, and he's all alone under turret. Should not matter. One knock up into the damage. Just a little bit more will do it. It's kind of funny to watch the Galio and the Jarvan and the Taric trying to get damage, but they cannot kill him. Baker's still trying to get on top of him. A double taunt, and finally they do it. Takes long enough, but that's going to be enough to get that down. Crown in the mid lane, and the Rift Herald being taken by Haru, just ignoring the bottom side, trying to get map objectives.
But it still ends up being 3 kills for SKT and KSV. What are they thinking? Crown did not have... He doesn't have the teleport because he's gone cleanse. Cuve had Ignite at the time, so only could go back and then very late teleport to the bot side. They could have just given up the objective and a single kill. The gank timing from SKT was intelligent. We haven't seen enough teams take advantage of summoners. Seen a lot of weird summoners in bot lane where 4 people have been rocking up with teleports. But the turret dive does come in with the Galio to reinforce. Ruler had expected there to be early action. He went Trinity Force to have some mid-game impact. That's not relevant when you're getting turret dived. It took a lot of extra time, which SKT would have preferred to be spent doing other things, but they still get the turret. They still get 3 kills, and KSV never disengaged.
It's definitely a moment in solo queue, especially in Korea, where everybody would be question pinging Haru and Crown, because it takes so long for them to finally kill everybody. And as you mentioned, yes, they could have just backed off, given up the tower. But had they rotated 2 more people, they could have just swept everybody on the side of SKT. They would have at least made it a lot more careful, or close rather, instead of just getting 1 extra turret.
I mean, Cuve staying alive kind of makes the situation look worse from Crown and Haru. Haru was taking the Rift Herald. They wanted to crash mid lane turret to make a longer lane for Galio to be more expected the next time he comes in. That part makes sense. It's mid lane.
Okay, they're going for Core JJ once again. They know his flash is down. This should be an easy kill. There it is. Even the TP from Tal. Not even needed on the backside, but they get the kill.
That's on Ruler.
Okay, look at Bang going in. 1v2. Didn't see Haru there. Having a little bit of trouble, but Haru now getting himself caught. Oh boy, that's not going to be good. 1v4, as they're just running themselves into it at this point.
Yeah, it feels like KSV are on solo queue identities. You bring up the point, but they're just all alone. They're playing against a team of SKT. SKT is roaming around as a death squad.
And it's going to be enough. I mean, Cuve going 1v3 here. One Dazzle will finish him off. Tal getting the very important kill up in the top side. And this is very lopsided towards SKT.
I mean, the early game rating for SKT has to be an A+. They're at a 3,000 gold lead, 6-0 in kill score. But it's too easy because KSV are kind of one by one rolling in solo queue-esque and dying. Their map control is not great. At the time, they had 3 control wards on the top side, so of course you cheat to the top side when you're clearing wards. They were actually on bot side. That's how they ended up getting ganked. They had no vision on Blossom. When it comes to their lane positioning, when it comes to their decision-making, they're not playing to their summoner spells either. And you're allowing the wombo combo from SKT that, like we say, has not worked the last 2 to 3 times they've run it. Worked very impressively against KSV today.
It's interesting to see SKT looking good, but definitely some big mistakes from KSV. Not necessarily playing as a team. Haru trying to make this Camille jungle work again, where it hasn't worked for other people so far. 6-0 for SKT. Very far ahead early on.
Yeah, you have huge item timings as well. Wits End and Rageblade already finished on the Varus. Trinity Force and soon to be a Mana Moon is comparable, but flat resist penetration with the Wits End, and suddenly 10% more coming through from the Galio's purchase into the Abyssal Mask, and Vladimir is going to roll in and do sick damage. There's potential for true damage on multiple members, given that Haunting Guy is already complete onto the Vladimir. So the AoE wombo, if it's not disengaged, which KSV in a normal game you would say is one of the most likely teams to be able to play around these sort of comps. They're so good defensively. We think of them as the shield here in Korea. The shield is showing quite a lot of holes. It's looking a little bit old. It needs to be reinforced, and we're not seeing that in this game.
Not seeing it just yet. I didn't get to see if Ambition was here in the studio. Generally, KSV and Samsung a team to swap out the jungler if game one does not go well. And the way this has gone so far, at least, definitely wouldn't be surprised to see a replacement later on. Some reinforcement for that shield.
Ambition does help with shot calling mid to late game, but if you listen to the players' interviews, in the early game may not be as communicative. You know, we know his style, it's very passive. The problem here is that KSV have gone for a narrow draft, picking up the Cassiopeia, and when you try and uncouple it, it can play 1-3-1. You can have Orin just doing his thing in the side lane. It can play 4-1, possibly with the Cassiopeia, because she can take Vladimir or Galio when she hits certain item timings. They haven't played that way, and now Crown's getting outplayed.
He missed every spell. Wasn't able to get that down. The TP is coming in. Kive will make his way in first. This will be a 5-on-4. Tal is nowhere near. Looking for an engage here. They did get the knockup onto Faker, but they can't quite engage here. SKT staying together as a team. They're ready for that Cosmic Radiance.
Yeah, I believe Tal canceled a teleport.
Yeah.
So he couldn't be there, but KSV don't have any more hard engage from range when that ult is down from Cuvée, so they just back away. My issue is they draft kind of this narrow draft, and they didn't play to it. In general, they opted into being outnumbered by SKT time and time again, so reward to SKT. Third time they're playing this comp, much better execution, playing around Blossom's aggressiveness, looking for the roaming death squad here, and so far pulling it off. But my surprise really is around KSV. It's being kind of absent at the wheel.
Definitely true. Interesting item here from Faker, going for the Zhonya second. After the Ninja Tabi, it's going to be a nice bit of armor, but also just to have that Zhonya's active going into the mid-game here.
As far as burst rotation, Galio's much more about 2 burst rotations in a fight rather than around full control, because he builds pretty heavy into ability power.
Blossom just flag and dragged in the KSV jungle. The TP comes in from Faker, but will cancel it.
Still some kinks to be worked out with the Blossom and Faker synergy, clearly.
Not sure about that one. Ornn with the most damage dealt in the game by far.
But I mean, Blossom has been a breath of fresh air. That's the thing that fans, I think, appreciated, is that while there were mistakes, there was pure on aggression that worked, 50% of the time, maybe slightly less, but he was showing a lot of things that weren't being seen from Blank, who really the accumulation of the losses seemed to have really affected his mentality. Yeah. His decision-making on Camille was especially atrocious the one game, and we haven't really seen them since then. They've been trying to blood Blossom, so we don't know where Blossom will end up, but just having someone here whose first thought is to attack seems to be enough for SKT, because certainly we're not questioning Blossom's mechanics. He's been top 30 in solo queue for the great majority of the past 4 months.
Yeah, and look at him so far, 100% kill contribution. He's working well together with the team. It's not a hard composition to pull off at the Galio, right? They're like, okay, go bottom. We're going to dive with you. We're going to help you out. And he kind of just is like, okay, I'll do it. It's nice.
If you think about what SKT had at Worlds, people criticize Huni, right? But he was an aggressive Valve for them to play around. And when he was overextending in top, it made so much sense for Faker to jump on Galio. And hey, if you're going to try and 1v1 outplay, I can respond first with the hero's entrance. We can double down on this winning lane in top. If you know Blossom, if nothing else, will be super aggressive, why not go for the Galio again and let him play aggressive, knowing the mid laner will react first? So it does feel like the draft is opening up Blossom to kind of do whatever he wants, play his natural play style, and the team is on the front foot in a way I haven't seen SKT for a very long time. It was Rox Tigers that played around an aggressive jungler in 2016. It was SKT that played controlled. We're seeing Bang and Wolf roam up just to allow their jungler to make impacts around the map.
It's a cool idea. Not even going for the Kha'Zix, but something that dives even deeper in the Jarvan. So far, it's been very nice for him. He's been super aggressive in the jungle up against Haru. And now he's looking for Crown. Actually does not dodge that ultimate, but he captures him in the Cataclysm. That's all he had to do. Lots of support here from KSV, but Crown is running towards Cuvée. 3 members coming in now, trying to save Blossom first. Is Wolf and the Cosmic Radiance. A very broken up fight, but the Cassiopeia goes down first. Really nice flat ultimate in the back line too. That's going to be 2 kills. Can we make it 3? Core JJ, extremely low, but he does get away with this life. Super broken up. SKT going to come ahead of that one.
And wherever Blossom goes, action will follow. Great follow-up from SKT. They're happy to take any fight right now. They're massively ahead in gold. 5,600-ish. Still no kills on the board from KSV. Blossom walks up, steals away a Raptor, and they're turning on to Baron.
Stole everything there, the big one. 82 extra gold. They're going in. Haru has a chance here. They do have to push him back. You notice how they're stopping. Faker coming in, looking for the taunt, but they're DPSing this one in. It's going to be close. Haru tries, but he cannot get it. They kill him before he can even get a smite off. That's going to be the Baron to SKT.
And that moment is noticeable improvement for SKT. Blossom had the Baron stolen away and stole a Baron against BBQ. They free DPS'd it down against BBQ, and the steal came in from Bono. This time it was much better as we rewind a little bit. No flash up on Crown. He's trying to clear, but anywhere on the map is too far when there is the enemy team invading through vision. They knew that SKT was on this side, but Crown continued to push up. Takes a long time for him to die. The Cosmic Radiance is not used ideally. SKT are just piling in by the end, but this is a gold lead. This is the right mindset for them to attack. Attack they do, and to the aggressor, the spoils for SKT T1.
Yeah. Talked about that Cosmic Radiance. It was specifically to save Blossom and keep him alive in that fight, even after he had blown his entire combo. But they wanted to make sure the jungler could stay alive after the fight. Would they have to go for that Baron? Definitely worked out for them. Very one-sided, refreshing from SKT. It's only one turret off of a perfect game so far.
And it's really fun to see them now understand what Blossom brings to the team and play around it. You could see, I'm sure Coma is in the back kind of beaming at this game. Is it classic SKT super control? No. But is it the best and is it the smartest use of their current resources? I would say yes. I would say this is very intelligent for them to empower the natural aggressiveness and outplays that both Tal and Blossom, top 20 solo queue players, will want to push off. Galio makes a lot of sense for them. And Core JJ, Ruler, Crown, they can only run one direction. That's towards their base as the map gets narrower and narrower for KSV.
You see Blossom just 1v4 going in with the flag and drag with no escape outside of his flash, but still makes it work. Faker's diving under the turret against Crown. The perfect dodge there on the ultimate gets the solo kill underneath the turret. They're so far ahead. Faker, he's feeling confident again. He's showing off.
Yeah, there's the payback for World Final. No Malzahar for you this time, Crown.
Yeah.
Trying to outplay on the Casio, not working. They keep pushing in. SKT wants to send game home early. They don't want to allow KSV a single kill.
Yeah, they want to push this one in. As you're saying, Blossom, it's so funny to just watch him walk in alone, totally fearless in the face of every single KSV member.
Here's our new overlay, by the way, guys. We do have the respawn timers for the inhibitor. Probably not going to be relevant in this game. But we're going to see a second one pile up soon, and 3 might actually roll down in one push.
It makes sense. I like this little graphic, especially for the super long games when it does matter for the specific ones. But as you mentioned, in this game, it's just going to be every inhibitor going down. 1, 2, 3, they fall like dominoes, and now they're engaging here onto the Yorn. That's going to be the bouncy castle onto one member, at least. Not able to fully engage, but chipping away at KSV as SKT looks strong, moving in as a team. Tal getting low, but having that Galio ultimate to keep him alive. Redemption coming on in, getting super low. Does keep him alive, and Blossom goes in. Nice little cataclysm. That's going to do it. Put 2 more on the board. Haru trying to make things interesting, but just cannot at this point. They are too far behind. That's going to be the second Nexus turret going down, and that is going to be game number 1. Going over to SKT over KSV. There you go, 1-0, 13-1, very one-sided.
The buddy system enacted by SKT T1. They make us a believer of the bouncy castle. They make us a believer of early integrating in Blossom, who 3 out of 4 games has been smiling at the end of it. The buddy system was so fun to watch. Everyone was trying to play around the natural aggressive tendencies, and seeing Faker, Wolf, and Bang actually aggressive, actually pushing and being opportunistic, no longer shackled by all the expectations of the fans and of the history, was heartening to watch for any SKT fan. If this is the SKT they want to watch, that's the SKT they got.
Blossom, a gigantic smile on his face, almost relief as he bangs his head on the desk, just like the Jarvan, just as aggressive.
I'm sure he goes to people and says, hey, playing competitive League of Legends for SKT seems pretty easy. When your team is on the ball to empower you, the answer is truly yes. We didn't see this with Peanut. We didn't necessarily see it with Huni with any regularity. We're seeing it with Blossom. Whereas with KSV, what are we seeing on our screen? There's definitely disagreement. They are definitely not the unit that looked like the early frontrunners for the LCK Spring title. Not much synergy between the two. We caught the back end of this one here.
Watch the dodge.
Faker
See you later.
Faker always on point with those step backs. You think of his famous one on Riven versus Cassiopeia against Nangne in the Summer 2015 final. A little bit of swagger. We know it never left Faker. SK Telecom T1, how good are they? The answer today is pretty good.
The most refreshing part is to see all the SKT fans coming to support. They didn't give up on their team. They're still here. Let's see how they do going into game number 2 after a quick commercial break.
Just a long lost look in your eyes brings out a love that I can't disguise. So take me down to the places I've never seen. Or don't you try to kill me with kind. It's just your love that's driving me wild.
Welcome back, everybody. If you missed it, SKT looking aggressive, looking good. KSV, not so much, Papa.
Definitely music to the ears of SKT fans, and integrating Blossom and Tal into the lineup, both of them involved in the sheer aggression from SKT. Not a word we usually describe SK Telecom T1 throughout the majority of the past 3 to 4 years, but have returned to form. Welcome just before they return into a very long break here next week. They'll have a week off. They'd love to enter that week with 3 match wins and with a victory over world champions KSV. And this first step was pretty damn good.
I like this play from Bang, kind of not on purpose, but he does bait Haru into the fight. And this is a really nice one. He gets the Cataclysm off before getting stunned, and it locks up Crown. That defenseless, escapeless Cassiopeia not working out for him in this game.
And teamfight initiation from multiple members seemed like a game plan that SKT was very able to play. A lot of aggression from Faker, who had Crown's number the entire game. We wondered about the Cassiopeia pick, never got any value from it in this game, and played very respectful in the early game. And this was, of course, the moment, the Faker moment, the 1v1 outplay on Crown. People will have to really pinpoint, does he ever get hit by Cassiopeia ultimates? It doesn't feel like it with any regularity. Last one I saw during the break was one in 2014. Cassiopeia in and out of the meta. Faker always on top of the meta. They dive, they close early, and SK Telecom T1 want to close this 2-0.
That Galio doing some nice burst damage towards the end. Of course, the play does come when SKT is over 10,000 gold ahead. Still beautiful to watch at that. Let's take a look at the damage. 21,000, not enough for Ruler to carry his team. They were just way too far behind. 1 turret and 1 kill is all that it took to take that perfect game away from SKT.
And just look at the gold chart from 16 minutes onwards. Only upwards, no mistakes. No turnaround, fighting when they were strongest, outnumbering KSV multiple times, especially bot lane, where they made some mistakes, KSV, with no teleports on their mid lane or top lane, opting into an extended dive where they lost their first 3 members In every single way, SKT did outplay KSV, and many people would say pretty severely outdrafting just because KSV's win condition relied on Crown being super far ahead, and he had so much CC to try to shrug off. He wasn't able to do that, and a big cheer as Faker is your Game 1 MVP.
4-0-7, 85% kill participation. Hard not to give it to him because Blossom, he did the combination, right? He did his job, but really it was the follow-up from Faker on the Galio, the first pick in the pick and ban to get him on that pick, and well, he played it really nicely. We've seen his Galio before. We'll see if he gets it again.
They were 0-3 on Galio, all of them first pick on blue side. Took the 4th game, but Faker and his new charges, the aggression from Tal and Blossom, does pay off the first pick Galio. Suddenly, if you're on red side against SKT, maybe consider banning the Galio. Galio probably going to be impacted in this one, as I hear some word that we're going to see a player to change, surely on the side of KSV.
Well, no surprise here. We were talking about this during the game as well. Haru not looking good on the jungle Camille, but a very common move by KSV and by Old Samsung to take out the jungler after game number 1. If it doesn't work out, they're going to try their luck with Ambition, the veteran jungle.
And if you think about situations in game 1 playing out with Ambition in the jungle instead of Haru, there would have been less kills, it would have been less bloody, but it would have been similar play style. Where Haru was deciding to jump in, Ambition would have hung back.
Yeah.
Does mean that the early game for KSV will still be passive.
Well, here we go. It was a funny little sign we had. Ambition, Ruler, and Core JJ was on the sign. They all kind of looked similar, at least in the drawing. We are going to get into the pick and ban here after Faker inspects his mouse. Vladimir and Rise going to be taken away this time, and another targeted ban, a couple of them, against Kive with Gnar and ZP taken away.
So Galio and Azir, the big picks here that could be considered when it comes to bans. A lot of mid lane focus on patch 8.2 this week. Blue side Galio ban. I can see KSV first picking Zoe or Azir, as one of them is likely to be left open. Could also leave both of them open and go for a trade here, so we'll see what SKT want to do. No AD carry or bottom lane focus in the ban so far.
Leaving this one up until the very last second, as we have kind of gotten used to here by SKT. Varus is going to be the targeted ban against Ruler.
So they ban away Ruler's comfort AD carry, and now they ask Crown to choose between Zoe and Azir. Tradition and logic would suggest he will go the way of the Zoe. There's still going to be Azir available for Faker if he wants it. Currently, Crown is 5-0 on Zoe, but only recently has the Zoe actually been looking like a potential hard carry for KSV, and they give up a lot. The Ezreal comfort for Bang, but Blossom jumping on Sejuani for the first time.
Yeah, picks up that Sejuani. We'll have to see how he does with his ultimates. Try not to throw them straight to the enemy tank jungle over and over and over again. Ambition gets his Jarvan. A fantastic pick for him. 3-0 so far on the season for that one. And you guys can see his just all-time records there. He is going to pick up the Tristana on the same side.
And I'm really excited to see that from Rula. I've been very impressed with his Tristana so far this season. Very aggressive, 4-0 on the pick. So another one that is undefeated for KSV. But his aggression, especially after their loss early in the season against Kongdu Monster, he would get in there, and while Azir is available, Faker's going to go to his most recent hard carry champion. We've had Kassadin banned in the first round when Faker's in the game. We're now actually seeing him early rotation it. It's a lane that can survive against the Zoe. Expect him to go pretty tanky, could just be an Abyssal Mask. But from there, we do get to see his Kassadin, so a lot of hops going on around the Rift.
Rilla Tristana is scary. I wouldn't want to play against that. We didn't even get to see the entirety of the highlights, but this guy is on fire whenever he plays that. We're going to get into more bans here. Camille taken away from the side of Kive this time around. Another one of his big picks. Ornn would be another one if they want to target him again. He played a pretty good Ornn in game number 1. He just didn't really have support from his team to go with all the 3-man knockups that he was getting. We'll see if they target that here.
We do expect SKT's draft to be a bit more passive. The Kassadin needs time, so the early aggression probably won't be there. Faker often goes Gathering Storm and goes very long in terms of game time when they play the Kassadin to go for a 1-3-1. Interesting to see a cannon ban. Usually that's going to be a protection for something like the Gnar, but it's a coverage ban, a Cuvée special, but not one that he's played this season. With Cuvée not playing, Amaran no longer here. We get no top lane cannon, unfortunately, in the LCK. But a lot of top lane bans already mean that Cuvée is likely to be on just pure tank meta. So they won't opt into banning any top laner themselves. Top lane and support. Well, they just look for a counter pick for Tal. That's my imagination. So they can go for 1-3-1 with at least one winning lane, and they'll just take the Taric blind into KSV's support choice.
Yeah, a couple of supports taken away by the side of KSV, but SKT with the first pick on the support means that another one gets taken away from them. We'll see what they decide to go for here. The Alistar still available.
But something that CoreJJ hasn't played this season at all. It's not actually a big Alistar player traditionally. So Shen is a flex pick. We'll find out very soon where it is. My first instinct is it might actually be top lane with so much top lane focus in the bans. We'll wait and see if that's true. See what CoreJJ decides on here. Could still consider a tank for the top side. They're happy with their damage threats here. And it's going to be a bit of a flex. So Orin and Shen can both go in either role, depending on what Wolf selects for Tal. Tal's Trundle does pretty well against both of them. His name literally means, so the fans go wild, his name, Tuhal, literally means to lock in Trundle in Korean. His ID is about as famous Trundle. We saw it inspecting his recent solo queue. He sees two tanks locked in. Doesn't really matter which one it is. He's happy to lock in Trundle.
Yeah, potentially even three tanks at the side of Jarvan, right? And you were talking about specifically about top or bottom, the support, of course, but like, they knew he was going to go into probably the Orin. It's one of those picks that Cuvée has played a lot besides the Gnar and the GP. Haven't seen him play the Shen yet. We've seen a lot of Shen support. It's a really nice pick. I like it coming in here. It's another split pusher as well to go with that Kassadin.
Again, 1-3-1 from SKT until Faker hits level 16, has multiple items. Then they'll just try to chase down and probably be a 4-1 with how strong Trundle is against who we now know to be the Orin in the top side. So SKT compositionally have a lot of answers. KSV want to play this game very narrow. They want to have 4 members under the enemy turret, throwing down an Orin ultimate to zone, throwing down the Zoe trouble bubbles, and have Tristana take down objectives. So 4-1 versus 1-3-1, but the ultra comfort for Tal on the Trundle. Whereas for the side of KSV, they now have ambition, they now have the more reliable shot calling, but if they actually find a way to lose the early game against SKT, which is very possible with how aggressive SKT has looked, it's going to be very difficult. It's really a tug of war between the two with how they envision the late game playing out.
Blossom going head-to-head with one of the most veteran jungles in Ambition on one of his biggest champions, the Jarvan. Let's see how he does. We're ready to go into game number 2, guys. The countdown has started. We'll see if SKT can get a 2-0, or will Samsung, KSV rather, bring it back. Here we do go into game number 2. SKT fans happier than ever. Looks like we're back in the old days of triple Doran Shield on the side of SKT. Funny to see that lineup again.
I just desperately want to watch more SKT. They really do feel like they have a new lease on life with Blossom in the jungle. The super rookie versus the most experienced guy around is a really fun one here. Beshin finally picking up his World Championship after only visiting Worlds for the first time 1 year previously. I guess we're going to have to once again, during the break, think about who the best player is to never make Worlds, now that so many of the famous players have made it to the World Championships. But Ambition will need to really modify his pathing. He would have had the chance to watch Blossom in Game 1. Blossom is a very creative jungler who does have those solo queue instincts. And KSV need to find synergy here, and need to find it quickly. Otherwise, the 1-3-1 from SKT is pretty painful to consider, with basically every lane assignment a winning one for the Trundle.
I'm excited to see that. Really want to see what Tal can do. You were talking about how his name is literally to lock in Trundle.
Yep.
Trundle. Hi. Koya, which means I'm going to do it.
It's
I'm going to lock it in.
It's literally slang for locking in the pick. That's why usually you wouldn't explode over a Trundle top lane pick. But when someone is so famous for it and named his ID after, it's fun to see. Tal was over in Europe last year, was son of Kasing in European solo queue, so he's a player that a lot of people know. But definitely very different to play in Challenger of Europe and to play for SK Telecom T1 with all the pressure that comes with that. Nobody told Blossom, who clearly doesn't play with any pressure at all. It's been fun to watch. As we get the keystones here. Notice Faker has a very specific rune setup with Kassadin that you don't see from anyone else. He does not actually go into precision at all. He does not have presence of mind on Kassadin, even though it's the ultimate cleanup summoner. People at the start of the season were saying it's literally an abuse case for presence of mind. He goes sorcery. He usually goes into the Gathering Storm on the sorcery because it's all about the late game. Faker plays pretty passive on Kassadin until, honestly, level 15, level 16. Gets 3 items in that short Rift Walk. Then we know that his aggression, the old trademark aggression from Faker that we saw in Game 1, that's when it finally comes out.
So far, just looking at the top lane, Tal actually having a bit of trouble CSing, which is not very common on the Trundle pick. You have that bite on the Q, but you are going up against the early levels of Ornn, which is where I think most of the trouble comes in. And you will notice that Blossom going for an early level 3 gank. Cuve, pretty low on mana, won't be able to really fight back here. Nice knock-up with his own terrain, but he's got a red buff Sejuani on his back here. Should be enough damage unless something totally goes awry. Who will they give the kill to is really the question. We'll go over to Blossom. First blood, nice gank early on.
Yeah, very smart timing from Blossom. Good call from Tal as well. Seemed very clear that Cuve wanted to push and back. Knew that he was overextended. The classic Marin overextension at level 4. He goes down to a smart gank. Because the terrain was put down by the Trundle, it led to a knock-up, but it meant that he couldn't escape. So whether it was for a knock-up or for an escape, who's to know? But there was no exit strategy for Cuve that time. He goes down, flash down on top, but not onto Blossom. So nice early gank on the Sejuani. It's not even with the fleet footwork. That was just an aftershock gank coming through from the Sej.
Yeah, would have liked to have that dash to get away, but you know, it's easy to look back. Hindsight is 20/20. Tal, 100% kill participation on the Trundle.
35% damage.
Confirmed high tier pick.
Do notice that Cuve has not gone for Unsealed Spellbook, our first Grasp of the Undying. Ornn so far this season was not able to go into Ignite, wasn't looking to punish lane, but was ganked in the end, so doesn't have the same lane control over Trundle that an Ignite Ornn would. His cooldown's going to be a bit longer as well. It is a pure melee matchup. One of the reasons we never see Grasp is it's almost always at least one range top laner. Nara versus X, Gangplank usually is what we see.
Yeah, I like Camille versus Gangplank. Camille has a nice bit of poking.
Yep. So Grasp is very rarely the smartest summoner to take, but cool to see it finally make a return. Maybe see more of it in future patches as more nerfs to Klepto and a lot of the Inspiration Tree come through.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if over time stuff gets locked down and changed. But, oh, Ruler taking a lot of damage here. Bang. Thinking about going forward. Doesn't seem to have that arcane shift, so just lets him get away.
Very weak laning duo. Whenever Shen is involved, you know they're not picking for lane. Tristana can get the push on, but obviously Shen offers nothing after the engagement is down or if he misses his taunt. So CoreJJ, for once, not really playing for his duo, playing for the rest of the map with his ultimate. And that might mean that Blossom's just coming for a gank.
Wow, level 4 coming on in here is going to miss that ability, but has the Dazzle and the Arcane Assault. Bang is just recalling under turret. Doesn't have the mana to follow this up. Decides he just wants to get out of there.
Blossom plays with the nameplates off. Big compliment for a young player. Faker turned on to, but has the Rift Walk. That has allowed him to be just much more aggressive. You see Sejuani, you plug in, oh, he'll hit about 50 CS and then look for a gank at level 6. No level 6 here, no ability for Crown to hit there as he actually picked up the GLP. That's fun.
Yeah, doesn't really do too much damage early. Tal having some trouble up here after hitting level 6. Still not able to force that engagement just yet, especially now that Ornn completing some items up there. See how he decides to go on in here. Doesn't even have his TP to get back to lane. I think he's looking for the plant in the river. as he has regained a bunch of health and mana.
Yeah, with specifically the Trundle, while it's a winning matchup eventually usually has to be one item. He needs Ravenous Hydra, or at least his Tiamat into Ravenous Hydra to actually get going. Doesn't have that yet, so doesn't have the sustain to ignore the damage on the other side. Looking at his runes here. He went for the thick skin for lane. Ambition just invading the face of Blossom. Because of all his gankings, Ambition has been able to power farm. No surprise there. 4 camps ahead of Sejuani.
Yeah. You got Ambition back in your game. You know he's going to hit level 6 very fast and farm up. We'll be able to steal that red buff. Blossom just gives that one away. Not much that he can do.
Interesting to see how respectful Faker goes in the build. We've seen him draft Kassadin into Azir and go for the Abyssal Mask. He might take the why not just outplay them approach of going Rod of Ages Merc Treads.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely an option here.
It's Faker, so...
You have a lot more Rift Walks than Sleepy Trouble Bubbles. Nice try at a steal here by Bang. Not quite able to get it.
Bot lane going better than expected. But with the Shen there, I guess we shouldn't be surprised that Ezreal Taric is doing very competitively. Ruler just wants to push and back every minion wave and open up space for Core JJ once he hits 6 to actually consider ulting to side lanes, but been denied that so far. Good lane control by Bang & Wolf to try to keep him accountable for as long as possible. And Tal just desperately wants to purchase Ravenous Hydra, but has to deal with a laning phase where W, Auto, and Q will out-trade Trundle basically every time before he has the lifesteal to ignore those early trades.
Yeah, it might look really bad for him up in the top lane, but it's just smart play because you don't want to give Ornn a solo kill. You don't want to allow Cuvée to get ahead. You know that you'll have better laning up against him 1v1 later on after you get the items, just like you said, Papa. So just kind of take it for now until you can get to that point in time. That's exactly what he's been doing, but might have some help from Blossom after he smites this Crux camp. See if they want to make another play happen up top lane with the Sejuani ultimate.
Remember, we're on patch 8.2, so the Unstoppable is not there for the W, the Bellows Breath on the Orange, so less outplay potential onto something like the Glacial Prison. Wait and see, they also have Core JJ hitting level 6, and only the situational Dazzle to interrupt it.
Yeah, and they just saw Ambition down on the bottom side, so they know no chance of a counter gank. No ward even here, not sure if he was seen. Faker going to be totally fine. They want to get this engage here, but Cuvée in a nice spot. Had the ward there, will not be ganked.
Yeah, usually has a very good top lane sense. An ultra experience-based 272nd LCK game for Cuvée, the only member of Samsung Galaxy's 2015 spring team that actually is still with the roster 3 years later. So an ultra veteran of the Samsung now KSV organization. Crown joined in summer of 2015, Ambition in 2016, and of course Ruler and Core JJ over time getting in there as well.
Cloud Drake means that neither side really wants to get on top of that just yet. Still early on in the game. Curious exactly where Blossom is going to use his first ultimate in this game. Hasn't really had an opportunity to do so just yet. Thinking about the top side once again, they're poking away at Cuvée here, but not too many minions means that they will not go for it.
Finally has most of the Ravenous Hydra, so now can actually take the trades that were denied from him previously. Blossom preying around the lane pressure that he has in the top side, and confirmation that Faker's looking for the outplay. He's going to be going Rod of Ages this game.
I like it. Looked very confident in game number 1, that's for sure. Kassadin definitely another one of those picks where if you watch his stream, it's like Zoe, Kassadin, Zoe, Kassadin, Zoe, Kassadin, Azir. Some Malzahar, Zoe, Kassadin. He's not really one to go against the meta, especially in a solo queue.
Yeah, he makes the meta from time to time. I don't sell the man short. SKT trying to play around where they're strongest, which is around the Trundle now that he has an item purchase. We'll probably see more and more of this as during the early to mid game before you really start enacting 1-3-1 and 4-1. There's going to be a lot of time to just play around Trundle's pushing advantage. And they're back again.
They're going for this. The Arctic Assault, they force out that Stand United, and the ultimate even comes out for ultimate safety for both Tal and Blossom on the disengage.
Yeah, ended up being unnecessary, but does mean that Core JJ has to work his way bot lane, can teleport into lane if he chooses. Seems like for now he'll hold on to that TP. No double teleport lanes when it comes to double unsealed spellbook for KSV or SKT. Means no laning assignments. Try to take advantage of Orin or the Trundle on the top side. And Blossom returns to the Rift Herald.
You gotta like this man's consistency, or persistence, I should say. Maybe not consistency just yet, but very persistent. Wanted to get onto that Rift Herald over and over. He'll give it another try. You'll notice Ambition is edging that way. See if he does spot him this time.
A lot of coverage and Faker walking up. I imagine the Rift Herald mostly dead at this point.
It's getting low. Gotta be careful with a Jarvan Zoe combination coming in, but they're looking for Faker. They actually don't even check the Rift Herald. That's gonna be easy. Uh-oh, top lane, Tal, forced to flash the call of the Forge God. Will get out of there with his life.
Didn't see what trays led to him falling low. Would imagine there was some turret shots thrown in. Ravenous Hydra soon to be completed. Ambition considering a turret dive.
Oh boy, Tal staying under turret here.
Dead.
That's just gonna be a solo kill. Had Blossom nearby, but Ambition not even necessary in helping out there.
Really nice stuff from Cuve. Necessary to find a pressure point. Still not getting to Ravenous Hydra. Still slowing down Tal. Means that these base damages are still hitting. You forget that you just have a lot of damage coming out from Orin. And able to get the solo kill just with Grass, not even with Ignite, is pretty damn big.
Nice little free exhaust. Onto Faker, might as well blow it as he engages onto you. You'll notice that he is being pushed in quite a lot. That mid turret for SKT is getting incredibly low at this point.
Making this a 4-1 game is what KSV probably want to do, but Siege is their main game plan.
They're looking to turn this around. The perfect timing on the stopwatch. There it is. Now they're going to turn it around. The TP coming in. Faker trying to get onto Crown. Can he kill him? TP is going to be Shen, but another Rift Walk means that he gets away. Nice block there, actually. It looked like on a minion.
Yep.
Means that Blossom does not die to the Paddle Star.
SKT trying too much and getting punished, trying to play 3 lanes this early into the game. KSV very close to breaking the mid lane turret. And you know their game plan is largely around Zoe Tristana, looking for the siege. SKT should be thinking, eventually this game turns us. Eventually we hit the item timings to crest the 1-3-1. Eventually it's not now, as we're going to see the replay up top lane. Tal thought with his jungler there he'd be fine, but Ambition also in position means just a solo kill for Cuve. He's done this a couple of times now, on the Orin in particular.
Definitely a bit of a mistake. You have to know that Cuve has his flash available and one rotation will kill you. And should have just backed off, but I'm sure he'll learn from that eventually. This mid turret I was talking about will go down. First turret gonna split the gold between Ambition and Crown.
No surprise when Akaston loses their mid lane turret early, pre-15 minutes here. Ambition's walking up.
Blossom. This guy has no fear. Just taking the blue buff right in front of Ambition.
And Ambition is playing the experienced world champion jungler versus rookie. After the early game, he farmed till 6, but once he's known his own strength, felt out the rift again, he's playing very aggressively onto Blossom, trying to battle ward him, which you never think of with Ambition, but playing the role that Haru was unable to do in game 1. They continue on the front foot. They can pick up the Infernal and leave bot lane 2 items on Ruler. There's going to be hell to pay in mid lane. There's very limited wave clear on SKT's side. It's why they want to play 1-3-1. Faker has no control of mid, and Ambition's back.
He's almost baiting him in there, but Ambition standing on a ward. Blossom was nearby. Wolf coming in. They were thinking about a 3v2, but Shen also nearby. Always got to keep him in mind. Faker looks confident once again. He doesn't look scared at all to just all in onto Crown at any moment.
And we very often see Faker, even when his mid lane turret is taken first, which sounds like the dream, right? Make Faker have a risky laning phase where he doesn't have a mid lane turret to return to. We actually see him play up more often than not and invite a dive because he's confident on the outplay. He doesn't actually let himself get pushed into his inner turret, lose map control in the mid lane, and then have his team lose around him. So he does invite a lot of aggression through plays like this, and for now at least, SKT still playing on the front foot. This is new SK Telecom T1.
Rift Herald in the jungle. Kind of awkward.
He's going to visit some new territory here.
He's going in for that tier 2, but that's definitely very awkward positioning. Not exactly what they were looking for.
Maybe don't let Blossom pick up the Rift Herald next time.
Have Faker come by and pick that one up instead, because that was atrocious.
Well, Not going to be the most costly. It got the turret that it was at least set up for, even getting no value on the inner turret. SKT want to take down the 2 side lanes, pick up the Ravenous Hydra, and let Taric and Trundle particularly influence the game. But Blossom's going to be chased away here. Ambition still with a camp lead and a level lead over Blossom.
SpoTV all about the camera angles, the zoom outs in particular. Always trying to get everybody on the same page, noticing that Ambition was coming in for a potential gank. Nothing did come of it, as they do just back off.
Cuvée still with lane control here. Such a big CS lead. Not expected of this lane, but we're seeing how strong the early trades are still with the Ornn, especially with the extra trade advantage that taking the Resolve tree instead of the Unsealed Spellbook and the Inspiration tree is giving him. He's able to zone away Tal on his trademark Trundle. Not going to offer up a back timing either. Tal stays on the map, but the end result is this CS lead is only going to grow for Cuvée.
Tal definitely has some gold locked up right now, just looking for an opportunity. Not willing to go back just yet, even with this TP up. Saving that for a potential move here on the map. Faker going to be spotted and knocked up, but again, it is Kassadin.
Didn't seem too worried about it, did Faker, as his old enemies go 1v1. Everyone knows the story of Faker beginning his career by solo killing Ambition in Nidalee versus Kha'Zix mid lane. How far we've come.
Kha'Zix mid lane, man.
Yep.
I think I saw that the other day in solo queue. We'll probably never see that again in competitive, unfortunately.
Here's to hoping, Valdez.
Yeah. Maybe someday. Someone like Tal going to join a team, except he's a mid laner.
Hey, I thought teleport AD carries were out of the meta when people stopped playing mid lane Ashe, and Ashe arrowing the mid lane while they teleported in to get the 3.5 second stun.
Oh, yeah.
Just 2009, 2010 strategies.
Good old days.
But they're back, so, you know, anything can happen.
Gotta see them return to the mid lane again. That'll be the true back. We haven't seen Ashe in a while. We've gone all the way down the tier list, even down to Sivir, down to, you know, Caitlyn sees some play nowadays, but we've seen no Ashe anymore.
We've seen a Jinx ban, but not a Jinx lock-in just yet. I feel that's not too far away. I know every time I see a Korean AD carry, I say the word Jinx and gauge their reaction for how excited I should be.
Yeah, you just look at them and you're like, Jinx. And see exactly how they react.
That's actually word for word.
Just deadpan like that.
Definitely.
Yeah. Very Papa-esque.
One day I'm going to be right. Trust me. Crown trying to harass with his redemption. Side lane Zoe, not usually a thing you want to do, but with Kassadin still one item, not as worried about the outplay. But Faker, as we say, has gone sorcery. I can guarantee you he has Gathering Storm. He's got 10 stack Rite of Ages, soon to be a Lich Bane. Probably should sell one of the Aether Wisps he's picked up.
Yeah.
But he's not going to. Okay. That should be a blasting one, actually, Faker.
Kind of an interesting, I suppose he can go into Ludens as well.
He's not going to build a Ludens.
Yeah, I haven't seen that item in a while.
Aether Wisp and blasting one cost the same amount, so he goofed.
He done goofed, man. Feels bad.
It's a unique passive on the movement speed as well. Feels bad. But he'll get there. See, anyone can make mistakes, guys.
Even Faker. Don't feel bad when you get question marks spam pinged in Gold League. It's okay. Faker makes mistakes too.
Well, we have a bit of a deep breath now. SKT is still waiting to get to the point where they're strong enough to pull off the true 1v1, or 1-3-1 I should say. 1v1 on the mine, because Tal is finally not losing out on the health trades to Cuvée. Cuvée himself though, team fight ready, a lot of CDR. Again, the way KSV want to play this, now that they've crested 2 items on Ruler and Crown, is all about lane assignments. They can get Zoe Tristana in one lane, rotate through the Ambition and Cuvée for a bit of threat, and Siege, they have incredibly powerful poke and Siege around an enemy turret, whereas SKT are trying to drag KSV much wider and force it to be a 1-3-1. That will continue to be the game plan here, but Faker's ready for a fight. He's actually switched over to Ignite.
Look at the damage that Ruler has taken before the fight even begins. Now Ambition in an awkward spot. Good taunt there from CoreJJ, but here it is, tracking him down. The stand united, but he can't get him. Bang is going to take out the Jarvan here, and they're still on the chase. That combination of Ezreal, Kassadin just never lets up.
It was just decisive from SKT, whereas on the side of KSV, Crown was bot lane. Looking to just keep farming. Thought they were still on for the 1-3-1. But we saw Faker with Ignite. We knew they wanted to make the map more narrow this time. They want to take down mid lane turret. They're actually posturing towards the Baron. Trundle can take this forever.
They're going for it. Okay, I was doubtful, but 5 members here, pretty low. Ruler also has gotten his health back. They are just going for it here. Ornn gonna come in. They're gonna rely on that Cosmic Radiance. They're still onto the Baron. They just want to take it out with a smite. There it is. Of course, no ambition. Now they're turning, looking for more. Ruler forced out of the fight. Faker still on the chase. The rest of them taking out everyone else. The stopwatch is gonna come in, and Faker gets stunned. But is it gonna matter here? Juve trying to do his best to solo them up. They actually trade a kill here onto the Taric. Ambition thinking about the chase, but they cannot do it up until now.
SKT of 2 weeks ago would not have been that decisive in calling Baron, but they get 1 kill. Clearly, a clear comment is made. Go to Baron, and they trust on the smite from Blossom and the Cosmic Radiance to stop there being enough poke from KSV. Super decisive play from SK Telecom T1. And that side lane 1-3-1 that was looking a bit tricky. Oh, it's much more simple now. There's a Baron buff on top.
TP's coming in. They want to engage onto this Infernal Drake. They don't want to give anything away to KSV. Unfortunately, they will have to, as Tal with that TP does not get the top turret.
Tal's teleports have left a bit to be desired, it's worth noting. Famously not teleporting onto the Bloblets when he was playing Nasus. That one was bizarre. Clearly there was a decisive call of contest the Infernal, but they wanted to know it was already so low. It's a great decision made here. The enemy smite is dead. The trade damage doesn't matter because Trundle can tank it for days, and the Taric also good for sustain and the Cosmic Radiance. No one gets low enough here for this to be a big factor. People do end up going, I believe Faker does die on the back end. We missed this one. But this gets turned on. Ambition in position. Nice stopwatch from Ruler. But they answer here with a single kill onto Juve, but much more importantly, the Baron. And Wolf goes down as well.
Good snipe by Crown there. It's the least you can do at that point when already the Baron is down, just to trade another kill back. But either way, SKT in another good spot. Not as dominant as game number 1. If you guys remember, that one did end in 28 minutes. But definitely this game looking a lot different compared to compositions, what has happened. And now the Baron push will begin. They're looking for top and mid turret, most importantly. They're going to engage here onto Ruler just to zone him out. A surprising amount of damage still from the Ezreal, who did go Trinity Force just to help out with that early poke.
And SKT's low wave clear does not matter now that they have the Baron buff. They can just continue to walk up. Kassadin, of all people, being involved in the siege. Don't often see that, but now he'll be visiting the bottom lane. They want to take the mid lane turret, but not trivial to do so. As Kingzone, KSV, I should say, are happy to walk up. Faker going to make slow work and does not have Summoner Spell teleport still. Will probably eventually switch over to the teleport, but for now, if he does find the Zoe, we could see an attempt at a dive here by Faker. He still has his stopwatch available.
That he does, but so does Crown, so it'll be the fight of epic proportions, stopwatch versus stopwatch in the bottom lane. Still having a bit of trouble pushing this one in. Bang even with the red buff, but he just can't get close enough to poke away at that turret.
Not the biggest Baron buff power play at all time, clearly. They'll be lucky to get a single turret as Juve is just proxying the minions still, and feels like Tal doesn't feel strong enough to ignore his damage. Juve has done 16,000 damage as an Ornn.
Just Ornn things, you know? You're trading up against a melee. You take Wrath, or, you know, the Grasp up in the top side, and, well, you do a lot of damage. Almost as much as the Ezreal, who is 2-0-1 with 3 completed items in the bottom lane.
Yeah, I think Tal probably needs Spirit Visage to fully ignore the enemy damage, as Ruler can't ignore Bang's damage. Already hit 3 items. Working on his second Zeal item is Ruler. Faker in the side lane has continued to take Ignite. The reason why he does this, he wants to say, Zoe can't enter lane against me, therefore it doesn't matter as much that I don't have teleport, and I have Lichbane to push down turrets. That's the theory there. Very Khan-esque, who his Riven never switching over to teleport was a highlight as well.
You can see just how little damage also Crown is doing to the Sejuani just yet. He's not super farmed up.
His build also was for Siege. He went for the Banshee Veil so he could walk up, throw in a Trouble Bubble, Portal Jump in the face of multiple members of SKT and not be punished. But that does mean that necessarily his damage is a bit lower than most other, I guess, 3-item builds onto the Zoe.
SKT still looking for that poke. They line it up onto Ambition, but again, it's just not enough. Still a very close game here. SKT only 800 gold ahead in this one. Still, you know, a couple of turrets getting very, very low. Thinking about taking it. Uh-oh, Blossom gets caught up here. Was still thinking about going forward. That's just the kind of guy he is. Gets out alive with the help of a ruler.
Only ends up being a Baron buff power play of a Baron buff. Only the 1500 of the Baron is really what SKT were able to pick up. Lost 2 kills for 1 afterwards, so almost a 0 power play, but it was taken off the Rift and allowed SKT to scale. So if you think about it, it was kind of a scaling Baron buff where they were able to get their lanes that were kind of losing in the side lane, especially Tal and topside, hit 3 items, hit power points in multiple roles. And the next Baron is probably going to be the one that actually generates a lead. So it's not the usual thing we expect, but ahead of the clock, an early Baron does allow some of these items to roll in and allow SKT to push forward. Notice the Aether Wisp was sold by Faker.
Yeah.
Didn't need a second one for his build, working on the Zonias.
So they saw Ezreal here, but Cuvée still sticking under turret, taking a bunch of damage. But again, small little movement from Bang on the map means that they finally break that top tier 1.
It's actually a Bang-esque move. I almost trademark it. He roams the most of any AD carry, especially Ezreal, that I see. He'll just show up for a gank as an AD carry that almost no one else will try. And I do like the little kind of mind games that play. It's the last person you expect to solo rotate to a side lane tank fight is an Ezreal. It's the AD carry. So gets the turret there, does make the map a little bit longer. Can KSV find a way to actually have Crown grouped with his team? Because he's still being spread across the map. They're getting no value out of Zoe being in a siege perspective. And you're allowing SKT to hit level 16 on Faker, which we said was the go button. I do feel this is double Gathering Storm. This is side lane SKT until a point. And that point is fast approaching. We're a Void Staff short of Faker going Rambo into a backline and just assassinating Zoe in a team fight.
We're getting close, especially with another Infernal Drake. You can notice that SKT, they don't want to allow KSV to get this one again. A nice battle star here up against Blossom. Means that he's a bit zoned out to begin this one. Look at Faker. He's just always threatening. TP coming on in this time from Tal, looking for the steal, but he cannot get it. The smite will mean the second Infernal for KSV, but they're on the chase. But Cosmic Radiance, they want to get someone on the back end and potentially get Baron, but a 4-man knockoff, and there is the Cataclysm. Faker, though, going on in, has that stopwatch, and in the back line, it looks like Ambition almost going to go down. Faker nearly takes him out. There it is, Blossom getting him with the Glacial Prison, and finally doing what they do best, chasing them down is SKT. They're going to get one more, make that a second. Cuvée under turret. Faker still wants to get another, but it'll be 3 in the trade for the Infernal Drake for SKT.
So much aggression there between 2 turrets. They still don't have the mid lane outer turret down. Bang almost died to the last shot from the damn mid lane outer turret, but they get the kills, they peel away. Another Infernal to KSV. But does SKT care? Because the second Baron's up, why not rush it down?
Might as well. Faker returns to split pushing and just to zoning here. He wants to get away from that Tristana that is still scary. Crown thinking about the one-shots, hits Tal, not the target he wanted, unfortunately, and that means that the Baron will be taken here by SKT.
The first Baron allowed them to stabilize, allowed them to hit level 16 without any true threat. The second Baron should be a lot more important. We're going to see the replay. Faker spends most of this just chasing down Ambition, who only ults right towards the tail end. Cuvée hits a 3-man or an ultimate, and they think about re-engage. But Ruler needs to be free hitting the entire time. Faker's role is to zone away Ruler after first being on Ambition. Ruler does not get any auto attacks off. Wolf and Tal are tanky enough that he can't auto attack, and Crown's poke is not there. He doesn't have Void Staff or a high damage build. So SKT can play front to back, ignore the damage from the back line of KSV, and come out with a big lead and a second Baron of the game around 30 minutes.
There's a reason why Faker is one of the only people that gets casted and banned against him. Once he gets rolling, as you were talking about, he does his job very well. Ruler didn't have much impact in that one. Blossom is going to get caught again, but at this point, it doesn't even feel like he's getting caught. It's almost like he's baiting KSV into fights that aren't going to go well for them.
People need to understand that the action happens where Blossom is. He has 100% kill participation, 3, 0, and 4. Some of the moves he makes aren't the most clean, but his idea is front foot and his team is behind him. So if he shows up, it's not necessarily that he's out of position, it's that SKT are moving into their position.
Yeah. He's baiting so much attention. He's keeping Ambition back, not engaging. Drawing out Crown abilities as well that don't hit the carries. Sitting right in the middle. Tall in the bottom lane, Faker in mid, 3 up in the top side. Now they're engaging onto Crown, who goes too far for Faker up in the mid lane and gets totally wiped out there. Bit of a mistake, not respecting that, and he gets caught out.
Yeah, he doesn't have cleanse, so he can't be making plays like that. Just taken down as Tal finally split pushing the bot side. Faker, considering his options.
Yeah, has Dazzle to work with him, and bang, most damage in the game here. Only seconded by Ornn, funnily enough, at this point. We'll see the graph at the end, but looking really good on that Ezreal pick. Surprised they gave it to him. They give the Kassadin to Faker as well. And so far, it's been very, very nice for SKT. Tal doing his job on the split push, very fast with the trundle push. They don't have Crown anymore, so only sad days for KSV.
He didn't get frustrated after being well held in the early game, so now whacking away on the inhibitor, second inhibitor with the 4-1 enacted by SKT. And if they get the right Dazzle, they're going to look for a fight as well.
Yeah. They get the Dazzle that makes Ambition on the Jarvan just look completely useless at this point. Not much more than a follow-up Cataclysm after the Ornn ultimate. And at this point, all 3 inhibitors go down. You can see the timers there on the left underneath the players of KSV. But SKT looking clean 2 games in a row.
The only worry for SKT is these threats are back. It's Kassadin and Ezreal with 3 inhibitors down. I remember a certain 94-minute game where it was the same carries. So closing out the game for SKT is not something we can plug and play, but every point up to that has been great from them. And KSV, some of the decisions made here. Unsealed Spellbook on Crown. Could have had Cleanse for that previous engagement. Went for Banshee Veil and Heal. Looked to the outplay and was caught. That's unacceptable from their mid laner, who's made nothing out of the Zoe this game with his very defensive build. Faker now. Oh boy, is he ready to go. But the Death Cap complete. Void Staff will be the last purchase, but not enough magic resist to get over a level 18 Kassadin, soon to pick up his 4th Gathering Storm proc. SKT continue to push in, 3 inhibitors down with Cosmic Radiance. Will they just try to end with one last push?
No team will ever give up, not in this meta, not in 8.1 or 8.2. And bang, even getting a little bit low. They're going to be looking for the full-on engage here rather than the siege, but the engage actually comes out of KSV. Nice knockups when they're turning it. Look at Faker. He takes out Ruler. He just disappears, and now he wants Crown as well. He has gotten fed way more enough, and it is going to be enough to take out Ruler and another. Make that a double kill. Crown is going to be zoned down. Ambition going down. Cuvée as well. And that's going to do it. SKT, the very surprising show up tonight. The 2-0 victory over KSV.
Not many people could have predicted this. SKT moved to 3-5, but part of that 3 includes world champions KSV. Not the time they wanted to pick up a sweep against the Samsung organization. That was 100 days ago. But 100 days later, SKT turn around the negativity that began with their loss at Worlds. People said about the lineup, the problems that Blank and Untara were having. But it turns out the rookies are capable of walking forward when you reinforce the bot side with experience and also with the mindset to come in and support these young players. The action happened exactly where Blossom was at. His front foot nature worked. You see Coma running straight for the young players, complimenting them on a good game for both of them. SK Telecom T1 fans will now believe their season has turned around, and this may be, in fact, the day they will look back at and say, this is when our ran begun.
Yeah, they've had slumps before. They've had losing streaks before. And as it said in the beginning on RCG, they get the winning streak they wanted. It's only 2 games in a row, only 2 matches, but it's something to build upon. And they look good doing it.
With a
KSV on the
matchup.
other side, not so much.
With a matchup, there is always another side, and KSV tried both. This was the World Championship team, and they didn't have many ideas. QV was good in Game 2 on the Ornn, trying to be a one-man army to hold off the Trundle. He was able to do that, but Tal whacked away. First competitive game in Korea on the Trundle, a victory. It was more about the team, though. And yeah, just insane scenes here at the Gangnam Stadium as KSV's season now needs to be called into question, just like SKT's was a couple of weeks ago. They've looked just all over the place in the last couple of matches. Both their carries are assassinated by Faker in the backline. Who's to know what the supports are doing? They're certainly not peeling. KSV have a lot to work on in the New Year break. SKT going to keep practicing and keep trying to get stronger, but it feels like they've finally found their 5.
That they have, it's exciting too, you know, people were calling, even myself, eventually for Blossom to come out and other members, the rookies, to be given a chance, and finally when they hit rock bottom, 5 games losing in a row, they bring out Blossom, things turn around, Faker looks happier, he's drinking water now, you know, he's not just slouching in his chair anymore, whereas Crown definitely want to show emotions, not the happiest today. Didn't have the best game of Zoe either in game number 2.
21,000 damage, but largely empty damage, Valdez. The damage number is very good for KSV, but SKT were just waiting for their time. Their time proved to be a single pick on the enemy junglers straight into a Baron at 22 minutes. A tale of 2 Barons was this game. They were what really changed it. Very quickly over to the side of SKT. Even after the first Baron, it was almost a 0 power play, and you say, well, couldn't get any gold from it. They were able to stabilize the game, hit their item timings, and the next Baron basically ended the game. So SKT walk over triumphantly. We're seeing a couple of players head to the interview lounge. I'd love to pick their brain and understand how they're working with their 2 younger players, because this definitely seemed like 5 people fighting together. A lot of togetherness on the side of SKT, and particularly in Game 1 from KSV. Seemed like they were not on the same page, even though they are a squad of much longer stature.
Definitely is so. It's a bit of the mid-season slumperoonies here for KSV. Just not looking like the team we saw that 2-0 KZ on their first debut here, looking good after the World Finals. They're going to have to pull it back.
Feels like there's never any rhyme and rhythm for KSV. It's why it's so hard for people to predict them as top 2. Kyle Templar said Kingzone KT. I said KT Kingzone. No one was saying KSV top 3 because they will go through phases where they look beatable by anyone. SKT on this day looking very strong as their own. And bang, sick picture there. Will pick up his 2nd MVP of the season. He's elite. 1337 LCK Korea kills for Bang. And it's on the Ezreal, so no surprise. Been by far his best performing champion in spring.
Yeah. The recall of Bang's Ezreal. I was surprised they give it away. If you remember the drafts, they gave away the Ezreal and the Sejuani. You know, short shout out to Blossom, who looked really good on the Sejuani. Once again, very active, getting in there, helping his lanes, helping out Tal early on, and making his presence felt. A very aggressive jungler, very fun to watch, especially for me. And Bang doing very well, 6-0-4. We'll be hearing from him in the interview, which we will go over to right now.
For interview translation, and today we have Faker and Bang for the MVP interview. SKT finally ended their loss streak, and they finally started to begin their winning streak. So SK Telecom 2-0 today, and we have the MVPs of today's game, Faker and Bang. Congratulations!
자, 1세트와 2세트 페이커와 뱅 팀내의 이 두 명이 고참 선수가 굉장히
So you guys are the oldest member in your teams, right?
이후에는 여전히 좀 배고프다라는 뉘앙스 얘기가 좀 많았거든요.
But it seems like you guys wanted more victory from last match.
오늘 진짜 저희한테 플레이오프를 진출하냐 마냐가
Well, it was a really important match for us, which tells us if we can make it to the playoffs or not. So we are really nervous, but I'm really happy that we made such a great victory today.
말씀하신 것처럼 실질적으로 T1은 연패가 있긴 있었음에도
So you guys did have some strugglings, but if you guys start winning from now on, I think you guys have a lot of possibility of beginning another time of SK Telecom for the spring split.
오늘은 일단 저희가 경기력이 좋기도 했고
I'm really satisfied with our performance overall.
굉장히 잘하는
And also speaking of
선수들인데
KSB
오늘
players,
좀 긴장한 듯한
I
플레이가
think they
많았고
were not doing their best
저희가
today.
좀더잘 나갔던 것 같고요.
Yeah, that's how we won
그리고
today.
저희가 이제 또 연패가 있었는데
And
그래도
we
저희가
did have
SK
a
아니겠습니까?
losing streak, but we are SK Telecom, you know,
플레이오프에 못
so
간다는 거는 솔직히 말이 안
I
되기
think it
때문에
doesn't make
앞으로
sense
좀
if we cannot make
이거라는
to the
자신감을
playoffs. So we have a lot of more confidence of our own performances.
오늘 사실 그 원디 뭐 MVP는 맞지 못했습니다만 1세트, 2세트 모두 굉장히 많은 관심이
And
집중됐었던
Bang,
장면이
I think
있었지만
you
뱅의
performed really
활약이
great
굉장히 눈에 들어왔었고
throughout the all
적극적인
sets.
장면들이 굉장히 많았었거든요. 오늘 경기 어떻게 됐어요?
So what's your comments on your play today?
오늘 경기 같은 경우에는 워낙 이제 팀원들이 너무 판을 잘 깔아준
I
것
think
같아서
our
제가
whole
좀
teammates
더
just did such a
편하게
great job, so it was
할 수
easy
있었던
for
것
me to
같고,
perform better.
워낙 미드 정글에서 초반에 주도권을 많이
And
가져왔기
also
때문에
our mid laner and jungler had a lot of leading points in the early games, so that led us to play well as an AD carry.
봤던 것 중에 하나가 사실 트런들이 생각보다 잘 풀지 못했잖아요. 탑에서 좀
And
어려움이 좀 많이
speaking of the
있었고,
second game, I think
거기
Trundle has
방에서
had a really hard time, but
사실 뱅 선수가 풀어주면서
I think it was like your performance that made the whole game to get the comeback.
사실 탑 정글 같은 경우에는 제가 초반에 게임을 다시 봐야 알겠지만
Well,
CS 차이가
I think we did have a like our top laner had a lot of minion loss in the early games, but you know I picked Ezreal,
1차를 저희가 밀었던 게
and
주요했던 것
we
같고
also
또 제가 좋은
took the
픽을
first
가져간
turret
만큼
in the bottom lane. So I think that's the point that we got in the lead throughout the game.
이즈리얼 좋은 픽에 대한 확실한 그 말씀을 해주셨습니다.
So I can see a lot of confidence on Ezreal.
1세트 어떤 장면인지 지금부터
Then
한번
let's check out the
확인해보겠습니다.
highlights from the first game.
자, 최근 플레이 저희가 한번 살펴를 드려볼 텐데 이 장면 기억하시죠?
Do you remember this moment?
그리고
Yes, I do.
아 이거는 저는 이미 게임이 끝났기 때문에 별로 의미 있는
Well,
없다고 생각합니다.
I actually think this solo kill doesn't really matter because we already like won the game.
타임을 잇는 듯한 그런 장면들이 있었거든요.
But I think avoiding the
막
Cassiopea's ult.
사활을 겨루는 그런 전투였다면은 좀
Well,
피하기가
it wasn't
어려운데
really like
방금 같은 경우에는 되게
like risky one-on-one with her.
제가 성장을 잘했기
Well,
때문에
I think I had a lot of greater like better build-ups in items, and also I had great.
굉장히 좀 편하게 좀 말씀해 주셨었고.
I think I scaled better than her, so that's why I took her down.
본인의 플레이 중에서 인상 깊었던
Then for you, Bang, what was the highlights of your play?
생각이 안 나면 저희가 보여드리겠습니다.
Well, if you don't know, we'll show you.
이거 아니에요 혹시?
Is this one?
네, 뭐 이거는 근데
네.
Well, this one is
제가
actually
잘했다기보다는
wasn't like my best play. I think it was the KSB's V's
그
mistake.
상대편에게 실수를 잠깐 낚아챌 수 있을 만한 장면이었다.
네,
이 장면은요?
이 장면도
Well, this moment also it was their mistake, not my great play. But after the first, the clip you showed me,
그 후의 얘기가 더 중요한데 그냥 그때
yeah, we were making decisions whether we can go for the dragons or the baron. I think that was the more important moment of the game.
실질적으로 그 관련된 내용을 지금 오더했었던 그 장면들.
So you're speaking that the shot calls were something that mattered a lot more, right? Yes,
사실
it is.
그 오늘 경기에 대해서 1세트나 2세트 뭐 할 얘기도 굉장히 많은 것 같은데 마무리됐었던 장면 중에서
Well,
그 오른의 궁을 나머지 선수들이 맞고 마지막에 그 페이커 선수가 좀 정리했던 장면이
speaking some
있었잖아요.
more,
그 장면은
well,
골이 있었던 건가요? 일단은 상대편은
we're gonna talk about the team fight with the Orange ult. You avoiding it.
그런 얘기를 하기가 그런 얘기를 하기가 좀 짧은 시간이었기 때문에
네네.
그런
Well,
구체적인
it wasn't
얘기는
a
없고요.
like
일단
team
저희
call
팀
because we didn't have much
팀파이트
time
방식이
to
일단 각자 그냥
put shot calls about our team fight.
한타가 시작되면
The way
거의
we open a team fight is more about we don't make a lot of shot calls. We just like we took down somebody. I think we're losing. I think we're winning. So
제가 트리스타나
at the moment, I just said I got Tristana.
이제 각자
So
이긴 한타라고 판단을 해서
all the other teammates had
한것 같습니다.
thought that we won the team fight. I think that's the reason why we won the game.
장면을 보여줬고 T1의 미래라고 할 수 있는 그 두 신예 선수들의 활약도 사실 선배
And also, the new players of your team were performing great today.
선수가 트런들 어려움이 있었습니다만 결국
And Tuhal had some of the struggles with his trundle, but he did get a victory, and they are just performing so well nowadays. Is there anything you want to say to your new teammates?
팀원들 이제 처음 신예 선수들이나 이렇게 도움 줄 수 있는 부분은 항상 도움을 줘야겠다.
Every time we have a new players coming in, I want to like share information. I want to give a lot of help because I used to be a newbie or rookie back in the days. So yeah, I want to just give them a lot of help.
분이 받아들이는 것도 중요하고 또
But also, just the newcomers also need to just learn by themselves, and also some advice from the coaches are more important. So yeah, I think I just really trying to help them. And I think our coach Doma is doing an important role on their new players.
다독거리는 장면들이 많이 화면에 잡혔었거든요.
그냥 뭐
Then what does Goma mostly talk to them?
가장 많이 알려주시고.
Well, they tell about the macros and also like how in games, like some experience ideas about the games and some kind of feedback.
김영희 선수가 좀 어려워할 수 있는 대선배 중에 한 명이잖아요. 어떤 얘기 좀 해줬었나요?
Faker, did you give them any advices?
블라슨 같은 경우에는 좀 당돌한 성격이라서
Well, I think Blossom is a really bright guy.
감을 드는 것 같진 않고요.
네네.
Yeah, so he's really outgoing, but and also Tuhal is more like a adult-like guy.
스타일이라서 제가 딱히 두 선수한테
So yeah, I think I don't have anything particular to tell them.
말씀해 주신 것 같은데 경기 중에 내용 하나만 더 말씀을 드릴게요. 하사딘이 에테리
one more
원형을 가는 그 장면들이 있었는데 약간의 좀
In the second set, I think you bought two same items.
하나는 세뱃돈.
Was that a mistake?
네.
제가 원래 좀 그런 실수를 잘 안 하는데
Well,
네네.
I don't really make that kind of mistake, but I think I was really nervous today.
공을 사야 되는데
네.
에테르 환영을 사가지고 좀
Yeah.
그게
I bought two same items. I think it affected a lot.
의미가 있는 줄 알고 저희가 좀 생각했었거든요. 근데 그게 아니라 단순히 그 과정에서
So I guess it was a little mistake, right?
그 전에 이 얘기도 한번 좀 물어봐 달라고 그러더라고요. 저희가 신문 십자 진행하는데 프레이 선수가
And there's a show in Sport TV, 10 questions and answers, and last time Prey mentioned you that you're still his number one.
감사합니다.
Thank you, Prey.
너무 쿨하네, 너무 쿨하네.
Yeah, that was Baker's response.
설 연휴 이제 어떻게 보면 이제 연습 한번 쌓게 됐잖아요.
And bang,
이제 설
well,
연휴를
national
보내고 좀
holidays is
편하게
coming up.
딱 어떻게 보면은 좀 그래도 설 연휴를 맞이하게 됐는데 계획 좀 있으십니까?
What's your plan?
일단은 저희 집은 제사를 지내기 때문에
네.
Well, we have a lot of family works
형님들한테 안부를
to do.
전하고
네.
저는 남은 시간은 이제 친구들이랑
And the rest of the
축구를
time,
해서
I'm planning on playing soccer with my
다리를
friends.
다쳤거든요.
그러니까요. 약간
But recently, I got my leg broken, so I'm a little bit worried. But maybe it'll be okay.
조금씩 쩔뚝거리긴 하는데
네네.
괜찮은 것 같아요.
Yeah, I'm not feeling
Baker
perfectly
선수는요?
okay,
설
but I think it'll be
연휴
okay.
저는 가족들이랑 어디 가가지고
I'm gonna
식사
spend time with my
좀
family.
휴가를 좀 준비하고 있다.
I'm gonna be on a
특히나도
short
오늘 이 두
vacation.
분들에게 설 연휴 전에 맞이했던 승리이기 때문에 저희 역시 세뱃돈을 저희가 한번
So
준비해봤습니다.
yeah, we also prepare some
상암에서 동시에
holiday
쓸수 있는
gift for you.
별다방 특별히 쿠폰을 저희가 한번 준비를 해봤습니다.
This is the coffee
진짜로
gift card for you guys.
편안하게 설 연휴를 보내시기 바랍니다. 끝으로 지금 설 연휴 전에 이제 마지막 경기잖아요. 많은 팬 여러분들께서 그 T1을 응원하시면서
So
지금도
here
아주
you have a
막하게
lot of
두 분을
fans out
바라보고
here.
계신데, 지켜보시는
Is
팬,
there
현장에서
anything you want to
지켜보시는
say
팬
to them?
여러분들 그리고 이제 TV를 통해 지켜보시는 분들께 설 연휴 잘 보내시라고 한 말씀 좀 부탁드릴게요.
Any holiday wishes?
네, 오늘 저희가 2대0으로 승리를 따냈는데 저희도
We made a 2-0 victory today, so we're gonna have happy holidays.
역시 기분 좋게
So I hope our fan also can start great holiday with our victory.
신년에 말씀드렸지만
But
다시 한번
I already
새해 복
told
많이
you guys
받으시고
to.
하는 일 잘
I already said Happy New Year's, but I want to say that once again.
저희 잘 할 테니까
And
지켜봐 주셨으면 좋겠습니다.
we're gonna
네,
try our
멋진
best.
경기를
I
선보이면서
promise. So keep
대단한
cheering for
장면을
us. Thank you.
선보였습니다. 이 연승 어디까지 이어질지 여러분의 많은 관심 부탁드리겠습니다. 오늘 멋진 승리를 거둔
So this will be
T1의 두
the
명의
end of the
MVP
interview
선수와
with
함께
Baker and
만나봤습니다.
Bang from SK Telecom.
Thank you, Ji-sun, for the translation, as always. And we're going to get some highlights from game number 2. Faker always only moving forward, never backwards on the Kassadin, except that one time. But
I mean, you can
looks
kind of
good
say that
towards the
about the
end.
team as well, Valdez.
Yeah.
It feels like the new SKT moves forwards at every opportunity. So much more aggression compared to the team that looked scared to engage in many recent series. So it's good to see that KSV, the other side of the coin, a lot to work on during the New Year's break, a bit of a New Year's hangover, I guess, for them, to work on some of their shortcomings. The Barons were smart here from SKT. They were when Ambition was not going to be in position to contest. He was dead during the first one. The second one iced the game, and SKT fans can finally cheer in a way they haven't been able to in a good 3 or so months.
Very decisive. Very nice to see out of SKT. Crown, that was his only highlight moment, basically, and after that, it was just sadness out of the side of Ruler and Crown, the two carries who were just being zoned out the entire game by Faker.
But now only excitement for us, Valdez, because we're one series short for almost every team of hitting the second round robin. And suddenly, a lot of the second round robin matches for SKT that weren't looking exciting are much more exciting. Afrika, KSV a second time, Kingzone, KT Rolster. In this newfound form, we still have no idea where SKT will ascend to. It doesn't feel like they're going to be relegation fodder. It feels like it's only up for SK Telecom T1 now that they've figured out their strongest 5. The calls for new players, the calls for new changes in the team are going to start to fall on deaf ears as this new SKT looks to be only moving up the ladder.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see them do a lot better, especially against other teams like MVP and Jin Air, teams that they had lost to in recent times with this form. Definitely puts them near middle of the pack, even if they don't beat the top of the top, and gives them a lot of time to build up this new roster. Almost feels like a newer team now with 2 totally new members, the rookies coming in, Blossom and Tal, and looking good doing that. So it was a very short 2-0. It's not what we were expecting. We were expecting a long 2-1 victory. You were saying SKT. I was thinking KSV. And, well, it's very interesting to see how fast this one ended. You'll notice now that SKT, they're no longer in 9th. It's SKT 1 and 6, but not quite.
Yeah, you blink a couple of times, and because of their good game score, they're not very far. The top 5 that was looking impossible a couple of series ago. So big movements for SK Telecom T1, but a big pack. Not much to separate 6th and 10th position, so a lot of movement still for the bottom 5. Will SKT once again be in the top 5? And how low can KSV fall after their recent poor performances? This is all questions for the second round robin and questions for after the long break. Guys, we only have one more series because this was a quick one. It's going to be around an hour break, so a 1 year break as Twitch chat loves to call it. We will come back in. Will be Kongdu Monster versus the other telecom team, KT Rolster. So definitely KT Rolster looking to give their fans the sort of happy new year that SKT was able to do for their fans in match 1.
We were expecting match 2 to go very fast and have the first one be longer, but it looks like this might just be another classic SPO TV day. Perhaps a couple of 2-0s in a row, unless Kongdu can make it interesting. They've had some trouble, lots of losses in a row. I think it's 6 in a row in terms of games, 3 matches lost, and a bunch of strong teams. But KT Rolster is not any weaker than the teams that they did lose to. So it's a big milestone ahead of them. They're trying to get over the hump, get past this losing streak. We'll have to wait and see if they can actually do it.
Yeah, KT coming off that loss against Kingzone will only want to show improvement. So an hour to get some food, to relax. No LPL to send you to, unfortunately. Maybe admire our beautiful robes here that we're enjoying. It's a fun day
photo shoot.
It's a really fun atmosphere. Huge crowd coming in for SKT. They go home happy. Will the KT fans go home happy again? Your first thought has to be yes, but who knows?
You never really know. I mean, we've had crazier things here in this season. But either way, guys, we'll see you in about an hour. We'll be there. This time around, SKT will be starting on the blue side. We got Gnar and Vladimir banned away. 2 top champions already taken off the board.
The Vladimir flex pick being seen a bit more, so Phoenix running wild with that on Echo Fox over in the NALCS. See where the Gangplank is going to be, because Gangplank's still super powered on this patch. No Gangplank nerfs yet on patch 8.3. Rise still going to be respected because I feel like the nerf was very severe in solo queue and certainly will have an impact in competitive play, but Rise's flexibility with his global provides so much utility. Strong pick for Faker, but a strong pick for Edge as well. It's going to be banned away, and the Ezreal you mentioned so far is left available, but could just be a first pick for SK Telecom T1.
It's looking like it, especially with Kongju down to its last ban. They're going to take away Kha'Zix from Blossom here.
But what about the Galio? Because Galio allows Blossom to be super aggressive and Faker to react. So that was the question I had is, will the Galio priority be as high as it was on patch 8.2? They're just going to go for more the head-to-head. They're actually going to take the Ezreal away from Sol, but Galio's still very powerful on this patch. Let's see if Kongdu Monster want to pick it up.
Yeah, they definitely have that option. They're going to go for the Ornn, even after the slight nerfs it did get. Still a very strong champion. Yujun thinking about the Sejuani here. Definitely one of the very high-tier, god-tier picks that was not taken out in the ban phase, and he does lock it in.
Sejuani makes sense. To me, the Ornn is a big reach, and it's a worrying one, because you look at Roach. In 18 games, played 10 games of Gnar, was first banned on blue side by SKT. His second most played is Ornn. Ornn has really fallen down the tier list because of the big nerf. It feels like he's more of a support, if anything now. So if this is just an emergency, let's make sure Roach has access to a champion. It's a bad sign already for Kongdu Monster. I mentioned the Galio. Clearly Kongdu not feeling confident enough to draft it, even though they're 1-0 with the Galio, and the knockup party's back.
We're back. I mean, they get one of the best 80 carries for Bang, and they get a very comfortable Braum pick. It's so nice for SKT so far.
And you also look at the Varus, and you're like, oh boy, you're going to have some fun engage to have to deal with. But of course, for laning phase, the power is there. Outside of laning phase, if you fall 5,000 gold behind and Galio closes the distance, oh boy, Varus going to have a bit of a struggle, but they're trying to find comfort. You just already look at SKT and a lot of power assembled on the blue side. Not often will we see Galio and Ezreal taken in Korea with just the power of those picks. And because no mid laner was taken, as usual Kongdu Monster, they kind of always fall back on Sol as their big carry. They take the Varus to ensure his laning phase, but that does mean that Azir and Corki could easily be double banned, and then we can start getting into the dregs of the champion pool when it comes to playing into a Galio.
You'll notice that Kongdu Monster is targeting out Blossom here. So far we've seen Jarvan, Jax, Sejuani, and Kha'Zix, and the only one that remains so far is Jax, which he's only played one time. Another pick that's left available is the Zac. Yep. Another one if you're going for this big knock-up party. Definitely an option here for Blossom.
I think both teams are partying when it comes to team fights so far. We'll see if SKT want to move away or if we're going to get some kidnapping going. The Zac would be an interesting option, but would be the first time, like you mentioned. Jax would be a bit more strategy in the options. Jax can actually play a side lane as a jungler, which not many junglers actually have a kit that allows them to do that. But we're going full knock-up party. We go for the Zac here, the bouncy castle, it's back. Oh boy, Kongdu Monster were the ones to bring it out the first time. We're definitely going for extreme engage from SKT. This has been the way with Blossom, has been let's all follow him in one by one and engage. And, well, a lot of Sion I mentioned in the pregame. I think Sion will be close to pick ban status in Korea, and we already see Tal bringing it out.
Well, 8.3 kind of looking exactly what we expected it to be here, Papa. The question now is, what does Kongdu Monster put in the mid lane? I hope they're not thinking about something like Talia, because another carry that would not have an escape would not be very fantastic for Kongdu Monster.
My question is, how do you get damage onto the Ezreal? Because he has 4 tanks in front of him. Here's an old pick into the Galio, the Lucian for a farm lane. You gotta say, this is about as much beef as you could ever have short of an Alistar in a game. Look at this side of SKT. Sion, Zac, Galio, and Braum will be insanely tanky. Yeah. It is, however, a return to pretty low damage, Valdez. We'll probably see full AP from Faker, so he will do some decent burst. But otherwise, Bang is kind of the only damage here. So while it's a very impressive amount of initiation and tankiness, SKT has struggled with these drafts, largely with Sivir, you'll remember, earlier in the season. So if Kongnu Monster have one lane they want to target. If you set Ezreal behind, if you can find a way to rotate through the Ezreal, which of course very difficult with how safe he is, there is damage concerns from SKT. However, the damage concerns don't matter if the game is decided pre-25 minutes. SKT have been very aggressive recently, and you look at the draft and say SKT, they need to start bouncing in and doing a lot of knockup parties early, otherwise there is damage concerns in the late game.
Blossom, for me, definitely one of these new guys coming on in as a rookie who has impressed me with just his solo queue style, but it's kind of a aggressive, I don't care really about what you're going to do. He's right in your face the entire game, and Zach is another one of these picks that's going to allow him to do just that and to allow his entire team to follow him up. So I'm excited to see him on a new pick and another one that can get right into the backline with that Zach.
Meanwhile, for Kongnu Monster, they're aware of the initiation. If the Cosmic Radiance is on point, they have options, but they need to get items onto the Lucian to have him actually to be a threat, because if you don't have that armor penetration, how are you ever going to do damage to the front line of SKT? We're getting a bit of an update here, guys. Sounds like we're not going to be ready to go straight into the game. That's why we see Tal looking a bit nonplussed in the booth, so a bit more time to talk about the comps and where things lie, but there were some issues over in the LCS on patch 8.3, so hopefully the hiccups will be resolved very soon.
Yeah, we've heard some stuff. You know, as we were saying before, Swain is allowed to be played, but still a bit buggy. Probably won't be seeing it anyway. And
I'd be worried if Swain was impacting this game, given that he's not in it.
Yeah.
You never know, though.
How about some Swain support? Let's see a little bit of that.
No.
He's got a lot of pullbacks, you know, some CC. And in team fights, you can pop your ultimate and be entirely useless. Just sit in front of everybody and never die.
We do have a sold-out stadium here for our SKT Kongnu Monster. I'm going to go and say it's probably about 85% SK Telecom T1, and we got the good news, Valdez.
The game is ready to start, guys. So, 4 hours sold-out audience. Let's begin game number 1 of SKT versus Kongnu Monster. Kongnu Monster, even though they've lost 8 games in a row, their fans remain by their side, just like SKT when they were going through their slump.
Just like MVP as well. I really am always consistently impressed by these long-suffering fans. You know, MVP fans had spring of last year, but otherwise have largely struggled. Kongnu Monster fans have really never had anything to cheer about at the LCK level, so love to see the fandom there. Got some new stuff, we got some old stuff, we got a lot of tanks on the side of SK Telecom T1, and you were mentioning Blossom. I think a lot of people have kind of had their imagination captured by Blossom coming into the lineup, relentless aggression. To me, he's kind of been like a fountain of youth to the SKT lineup, because if you go back and watch the VOD of the match against KSV, the amount of just sheer aggression you saw out of SKT there, you think back, and aggression was never really a word you used to describe SKT's early to mid game. They were always mid to late game masters, and I actually think the last time I saw an SKT lineup just that aggressive was 2013, you know, when they were just all rookies themselves coming in as a lineup with Mandu and everybody else. So seeing how aggressive they were without Blossom, if this was blank on Zach, I'd be right there and saying, I don't know what the damage is. Tal's looking for a lane gank.
What is this?
Level
the
1
Sion in the bottom side, he misses the Q. It actually, the Taric went behind him, and it didn't hit the Taric, so
it's an old strategy that you have Sion at level 1, just gank bot lane. You can always teleport to the top lane and not miss much. Going for the gimmicky level 1. If you see Sion's support, they'll do the same thing. Start decimating smash and look for an engage. He just missed the decimating smash. So yeah, some kinks to work out on the Sion.
It's definitely a new pick here for a bunch of these top laners in LCK.
Not for MVP.
Not for. That's what I was going to say. Only ADD really was the guy who was playing it consistently. We saw Max even playing it in the support role. But we will be seeing more of it here.
And I just hope we're seeing more of this aggression I'm alluding to. More of this aggression with Blossom. More of this new SKT. Now with Zach, you always expect them to take both the blue buff and the Gromp at the same time, just because of how the Q works and the fact that you can farm both camps. That also makes you pretty predictable, and it's a nice counter jungle by Yujun. The Sion is going to be pushed in because he got to lane late, and the Zach was going for a greedy clear. So good timing for Yujun to invade, but for now at least, just delaying the Zac.
And you can do very nice things here.
Smite War is going to come out.
Yeah. With the Sejuani passive, if she can stack that up, definitely has the ability to take this away, but is going to go aggressive here onto Blossom, who's just trying to get this blue, but the smite, it goes to Yujun. Blossom, no blue, and lacking some health in there. Yujun is going to win that jungle war.
It's actually really well done by Kongdoo Monster. Yujun in particular, when he played his first game on Lee Sin, seemed lost on how to path at the highest level, you know, in the LCK and competitive play. But in this game, this pathing decision when they saw the Sion bot side to go for the invade on the predictable Zac taking 2 camps, the blue and the Gromp at the same time, was next level. So good to see that from a young jungler still trying to find his footing on his 4th professional game at LCK level. Will actually delay things for Blossom in particular.
Yeah, especially with a guy like Blossom who loves to get aggressive. If you can beat him to the punch and just take that part of his game away, might make SKT a little bit more just passive in general. We're going to take a look here at some stats down at the bottom.
Surprise.
Of course, yeah, SKT 4-0. Makes sense. This was only in spring because Kongdoo was not in summer. Says a lot about this matchup in the past.
And my favorite stat is that between the 2 junglers, we have 11 professional games ever. Compared to if Wolf was, you know, Wolf alone has 580 odd games.
Yeah.
So it lets you know that definitely have the rookie status going on in the jungle. So we could see some fiestas and some interesting decisions being made. We already saw Blossom the first time out, going for his EQ and getting ulted into the turret, but they've been winning with Blossom. They've been looking better with Blossom. Early game here, though, he's not on the Kha'Zix Rengar. That's his ultra comfort. When you're on the Zac, being invaded on is a lot more predictable.
We're taking a look at that mid lane, and Edge will have a big responsibility on his shoulders. He needs to be one of the main carries here. Varus, we have a little bit of a gank here. He's going to be pulled back into the knock-up stun, but Cleanse and the flash. It's so close, but Edge does get away with just a sliver of health. As I was saying, SKT probably thinking the same thing. Lucian going to have a huge farming lane and tons of time, even with the Cull start. He's going to be the big carry here for Kongdoo.
Valdez, I don't know what it is about Zac, but I think back to when Peanut did not play Cinderhawk junglers, jumped on Zac, got invaded, and was still ganking regularly on a champion that many players would just go farm mode on. I love seeing these aggressive players move to Zac in particular because they look at the engage range of the Elastic Slingshot, and even from behind, they'll look for the moves. We mentioned already that SKT's power is pretty front-loaded to early to mid-game because they will eventually run out of damage. So need to see that progressive, that proactive moves aggressively in the jungle, even from behind. So it's good to see there from Blossom as we get the keystones and notice that while in Korean solo queue, as Tal's just ult into lane, by the way.
Yeah.
But in Korean solo queue, we often see Glacial Augment on the Sion as a rush, as a main rune, just for extra CC. So he has this comical amount of CC. Comet was always the lane control choice, also the support Sion choice. And it is going to be lane control chosen by Tal, going for the Comet. Basically, you hit Roar of the Slayer, the slow guarantees the Comet hitting, and you get a lot of lane control. Kind of the same situation as Camille when it comes to the W and her Comet taking.
You'll notice the way that Edge has to play in mid lane because of what happened earlier. You don't have Cleanse or Flash, and Faker still has his Flash against a Zac who's going to be level 6. The next time he comes to your lane, he has to show so much more respect. And even just letting Faker push, whereas before, when he had all his summoners, he was in there getting in the face of Faker, trying to push him out of lane. That's not really the way it's going to go anymore. And you even notice Yujun sticking nearby mid lane to help him out a little bit.
You know, some light slinger buffs here. I think going to be relevant when crit comes in realistically, but it's a little bit more total AD in early levels, makes his laning phase stronger. You will notice, though, Valdez, that all 3 lanes from SKT were pushing in, so there's already deep vision down from SKT. Kongdoo Monster are playing the scaling game. They make the same read that we do and say, let's get the Cull cashed in on the Lucian. Let's get Varus to his first item that we know, of course, will be the Rage Bait and takes time. All the early purchases and all the early skirmishes are better for SKT when there's more than one member involved. Whenever it's 2v2 or 3v3 or outnumbered because they have the ultimate there from the Galio, they're going to be trading up. So for SKT, they're all about the early skirmishing, but for Kongdoo, if they can get the vision down and largely just farm, they're going to be happy with how the early game is playing out.
Eugene just hitting level 6 here. After taking his red, he'll be a huge ganking threat. Let's see where he decides to go. He's still hanging around that mid lane and was spotted by Tal, who came down, so shouldn't have too much action as everybody's kind of checking their bases, making sure they know where everybody is in the game.
Eugene can't really visit his furthest camps away from mid lane because his mid laner has sums down and there's so much wombo engage that he has to be there for a counter gank. So for right now, Gromp and also his Krugs are kind of unattainable. He'd love to clear them and get the gold, but his job is to play through mid. That's why we saw Secret back and just put down a control ward, try to find some sort of safety for Edge, who was up in CS like you mentioned early, but now with summoners down, has to play that defensive style. SKT want to continue on the front foot, continue to push, continue to clear. Tal pushing in EW, the common max we see here, Roar of the Slayer into the Soul Furnace. I remember all the Scion names because they're all really funny, so
yeah.
I'm also a Scion one-trick, as you can tell from my solo queue, Valdez.
Yeah, you were telling me how you just have one pick
He's
in every lane right now.
Freelo top laner, guys. Comet Scion, get in there. He actually has the highest win rate for champions played over 1% of total games in the game right now. Top Scion.
It's pretty ridiculous. I just know that whenever I have a top laner in my lane, or in my game on my team, they always lose to the Scion, so kind of had that in the back of my mind where people don't really know what to do against all that CC and even the nice little poke he's got with the Arcane Comet.
I mean, Arcane Comet, when you hit level 9, you're doing about 330 damage with the Roar of the Slayer and a Comet proc, so it's not ignorable damage. Pretty ignorable for an Ornn, but in a lot of the carry matchups, I feel like in solo queue is even better because everyone's playing Riven Fiora, so you're just able to not die in lane. He even does decently well against Gnar. I know NALCS might have not told you that, as we saw a lot of Scion in the NALCS this week against Gnar, and it wasn't doing fantastically. We see it here against the Ornn. It's very safe. It pushes. It has lane priority, and it's a tank that you can lane, which, given that Gnar kind of beats every tank, and Fiora beats most tanks, there aren't many of those around, so that's why the Scions become attractive. It's a tank in the top lane you can get away with.
Yeah. ADD knew it before anyone else.
He did. He was our Savant. He's the Genja of Korea for sure. Genja was bringing everything out in the AD carry, but our top lane Savant is ADD.
We'll see what else he brings in. Maybe he'll play some top Swain and make everybody know about that.
He does
pick.
feel like a top Swain player.
I feel like he would definitely be the guy to do it. Nobody else.
I heard Smeb said it wasn't bad, so
we got some action here. Soul going to be hopped upon. The kidnap will miss as the Cosmic Radiance comes in, but here comes Sejuani about to turn into a 3-on-3. Blossom's caught up a bit here. In comes Eugene. The flash coming out from Blossom. They're going on to Bang here, who's not able to get out there, but now does do the arcane shift after the flash. Now it's up to Wolf, who has all of his summoners down. That's going to be first blood. Goes over to the Taric of all people, but finally, Kong Du Monster able to capitalize.
And that, of course, is the cost of bringing in a player who's known for the carries. When he missed the kidnap, they needed to disengage, but Blossom was still there, thinking that Faker would rotate. On the minimap, as I was watching, Edge was just free damaging him in his face, so he didn't feel like he had the space to actually look for the move. No interrupt, of course, for Edge, but no real ability for Faker to guarantee the right engage. So if you watch the replay, the start of this is great. We cut off my color point because it looks like Blossom might make something happen, but it's double summoners up, ult up, Kong Du Monster. He misses. They need to fully disengage at this point, but they're not disengaging. The first Q hits from Blossom. When he knocks heads in, notice that Galio was tete-a-tete with the Lucian, wasn't able to rotate in that case, and doesn't want to ult now because he might just die 4v1 if Wolf goes down. So there's no ultimate from Faker. It's to kill over to the side of Kong Du Monster. Bit of a communication issue there between the mid laner and the the mid laner and the jungler, I would say, does actually pull SKT a little bit behind their opponents in Kong Du Monster.
Yeah, it's just one kill down in the bottom lane after all, and it was Taric who did pick it up, but definitely could be a sign of things to come here in the future of this game and the series for SKT.
The Rod of Ages, sign of things to come from Faker. Like I mentioned in Champ Select, you can index very heavily in AP now with Galio, who, since the rework, has always prioritized more AP. The question was always how much. We saw a lot of Abyssal Mask into Liandry's into full tank. This is definitely going to be a full AP game. They need Faker to do damage rather than to be a fourth unkillable frontliner, and he'll do a decent impersonation of an unkillable frontliner whenever his W is up. The things are not over for SKT, but we mentioned that a lot of their power is front-loaded early to mid-game. Let's see if they can actually continue to play on the front foot. They cannot afford to kind of lick their wounds after failing for first blood and then just play passively. They need to keep on with the aggression, and we'll see if SKT can do that with this youthful lineup.
Yeah. Seems like they were thinking about it, coming in and stealing the Raptors once again. They still have that control ward, by the way, that spots every single time Yujun does the red buff. So fantastic amount of vision given to SKT with just that one control ward. Definitely recommend that. I've seen even junglers on the Korean solo queue start with, instead of the refillable, they go for just one potion and a ward, control ward, and they put it down right there, and they know exactly what's going on because nobody really checks for that location. Definitely a very tricky one.
Yeah, Nunes, of course, and other people that can get away with less regen at the start can easily index into a control ward at level 1. Yujun going to start up the Rift Herald. Feels like every objective SKT should have been favored for in the early game, but a lot of that normalcy kind of subsided after losing that early trade. So any objective Kongnu Monster picks up pre-20 minutes kind of comes across as a bonus for how strong the early game comp is from SKT, and Wolf's also out of position.
He's all alone, but he's got Faker coming in here. They're going to get the knockup on a Soul who doesn't have his flash available. Wolf getting low at the same time. Cosmic Radiance almost gets the kill onto Wolf, but in the end, it's only Soul who goes down. Yujun not in position there, was actually doing the Rift Herald. Is going to pick up that objective for just one kill.
People allowing themselves to get pretty baited in this game. First it was Blossom down bot lane, then it was the duo lane of Kongnu Monster. There was no flash up on Soul, and it seems so academic that we would see the hero's entrance come through from the Galio. Do see Edge protecting the jungle camps of Yujun.
We don't really want to see this top lane.
Nope.
Thank you.
We want to see this turret HP. It's going low.
Bang's getting in there. He's pushed away for now, and even Edge coming down into the bot lane. Funny little position for him. You'll notice that Blossom hanging nearby the bottom lane as Soul still doesn't have his flash. Is getting closer now, but you notice that AD Carry's not really taking Unsealed Spellbook anymore, but here we go. Blossom coming in. Still no flash available. It's about to come off, but they are going to knock a couple heads together. That should be it with the Kidnap coming in. Another kill, this time given over to Blossom. That might even secure that first blood turret.
And that should be an illustration of why any objectives Kongnu Monster picked up in the early game should be a bonus, because there's so much wombo long-range engage that you're never safe in the bot lane when your summoners are down, when your Cosmic Radiance is down. It's all on SKT to ramp up the pace. Consider the pace ramped up, Valdez.
That it is. I mean, even Blossom, after getting the kill, he's going in and pressuring Yujun in the jungle, forcing Secret back. Seems like he's finally got back into his elements now, Papa.
And it's just awesome that SKT can run a comp that 2 weeks ago you would cringe about, because you'd be like, okay, well, they've already shown that with one damage threat, they can't actually get the synergy going. They're not aggressive enough in the early game. They'll just get outscaled. But you insert Blossom, you insert this new mindset, the fountain of youth that Blossom has been, to bring them back to 2013 aggression, and then suddenly Wolf getting caught is a cascading effect that brings so much to the side of SKT. I don't know if this was a true bait, but it certainly turned into a masterful one, turning on to Soul, Cosmic Radiance, eventually taken down, but the return gank with the control ward they already had, the turret dive, is where they blew open the game. And then for Kongnu Monster, the only thing they've gotten recently is the Rift Herald, and we haven't seen it summoned just yet.
That one thing that I noticed is that the ward timers for both of the wards that he was standing on was the same. Missed ultimate here, not able to engage at all from Kongnu Monster. But you were talking about the bait earlier. If he saw the ward go down from Kongnu Monster, definitely could have been a well thought out plan from Wolf. But
definitely when it comes to these veteran status players, you give them the benefit of the doubt whenever you can. So nice little play there, and it's opened up, 2,000 gold lead out of nowhere. They were losing the game. Not by any magnificent amount, but certainly by a small one. Speaking of small changes, the Q nerf here, very severe early levels. And since you max the Arctic Assault last, it does mean you have a little bit less mobility on the Sejuani. Rift Herald top side.
Just gonna knock that down here, but SKT has so much pressure in mid. Look at this again. Finally, the sums are up, but let's see if they can still lock down a kill.
It's a
gonna
party.
Go on to Secret here, who is getting a bit low. Cosmic Radiance coming in. Looks like they should be able to pop this passive on the Blossom, though, who does have his passive thereby procced, and they should be able to take him out here. No TP coming in, none available. Not that they should have committed to that. He wouldn't have been able to get out, so going a little bit deep, and Blossom does go down.
You will see this from time to time. They're still going aggressively, though.
Trying to...
They really want this turret. Chunking someone out would have represented the turret going down almost. The steal coming through from Bang, one of the best at pulling that off. SKT trying to take the mid lane turret. Do note that in all of this, the Rift Herald was wasted topside. It did not actually take down the turret. Sion, predictably, having wave clear for days with 4 AoE abilities. Means that he's just fine. But SKT going to continue around the mid side. Again, with Blossom, you have to take the good with the bad. He's always going to go in. Sometimes his team thinks better of it, doesn't fully capitalize on it that time. But overall, an upgrade for SKT.
Yeah, it's surely definitely a play you would consider with a composition like this, especially with just the bottom lane in the mid lane trying to defend the very low turret.
But given that everyone else had ults to help him out and didn't use it, you could say that communication probably not 100% in sync between him and the rest of the team.
And you'll have to mention as well that Sol did not burn his flash in the engage. He trusted in the Cosmic Radiance, got out alive, so we'll have that available. It's one of the biggest things here for the Varus that has no other escape outside of the Taric ultimate and his own flash.
Because Bang does not have Blade of the Ruin King coming till later. Notice that he is going higher damage here. He had to slow down his build with a QSS, but is going to go for the maximum mid-game spike with the Trinity Force, becoming more and more common. Until he has Blade of the Ruin King, this map pressure into Wombo engage comp from SKT has very low Baron damage, so they're not actually able to threaten the Baron. Usually when you have a team comp like this, take all the early game advantages, take 3 turrets and some Drakes, push up vision, turn on the Baron. With this team, the Baron is very slow. So that's kind of a small issue for SKT. They can't really make creative plays around the Baron because if Bang's missing, then he's probably going to be on something like Baron. If he's showing, then it's going to take a good minute and a half to kill the damn Baron.
Yeah, they'll be looking for multiple picks. If they can get onto the Varus, that would be nice. And also taking out Lucian would be a nice 1-2 combo. Maybe then they'll go for a Baron, but we got to be careful about it. As we return to a tank-on-tank matchup, although I call Faker a tank, but he does finish up his Zhonya's now as his second item after the Rod of Ages.
An analysis on that one, when you're going for a Zhonya instead of a Liandry's, it's I want a team fight really soon. You want a hard commit whenever you go for the Zhonya's early. It's one of my favorite things to talk about in the Twisted Fate meta was the earlier the Zhonya's, the more we would be seeing some Messiah-esque dives into the backline, so team fighting on the mind for SKT, but they have been halted. Took a lot longer to crash the mid lane turret after we saw Blossom go down. We see the big Krugs going the way of Bang, who's just being a jerk at every possible moment. SKT and Kongdu Monster, both in decent spots where this game is at. We're so close to this game exploding one way or the other.
That we are. They're looking for another play here with Yujun heading up towards top, but there's a ward. Yujun earlier on did throw out his Sejuani ultimate, which I believe was aimed at the Braum, who just stood beside one of his teammates as the Sejuani ultimate sailed wide. So he has to be very selective about where he's going to throw that. The unfortunate thing for him is, who do you throw that out? Are you going to give that to the Ezreal? It's going to be really hard to hit him, and he's got a QSS. So you're going to be hitting one of the tanks either way. Not a very fun game as a Sejuani player.
I mean, even the early game, like, what exactly do you do as Lucian and Varus? Who are you trying to hit in this game? You're never going to get to Ezreal, and Black Cleaver is not enough yet. You're still going to need, probably going to be double Lord Dominic's regards to just actually do damage to anyone. Sol's going to go for a Wit's End here, largely for survivability. Does mean a little bit extra base damage to Sejuani and Ornn, but not going to be the synergy with a mid laner, of course, in this particular game. So very, very hard to threaten the backline. And you can see Bang, now that Trinity Force is finished, he's starting to do some real damage.
Yeah. This is one of the questions we asked, who gets it? That Ezreal, and so far Bang is showing it. Why you shouldn't give him Ezreal ever. He's having a very fun game so far. They're going to get another turret here.
Oh, I mean, this is the god game for Bang. Bang's best champion this season has been Ezreal. He has 4 tanks. He's got a Braum rushing the Knight's Vow as fast as possible to make him tankier. There should be no threat onto him, and the armor items aren't going to come in early enough. It's going to be Warmogs from Sejuani. A Frozen Heart is a nice start for Roach, but definitely Bang is going to be empowered in the mid game to basically do whatever he wants, and Threat of Death with just being Ezreal with Flash Up and a QSS, basically zero.
Yeah. Bang has been looking a little bit better over time. I mean, everybody on SKT was having trouble during their slump. We are going to have an engage here on a Faker who isn't as tanky as you would believe, but he's got Bang right next to him, and there's that Zonia's. Here's the counter engage. Secret in a ton of trouble here. Will he go down before the Cosmic Radiance? Yes, he will, and they're not done yet. In comes Wolf with the big knock up into that back line. They're going for Edge. Nice little dash away, but he's got some goo stuck to him with Zach coming on in. That's going to be the kill. A second one going over to SKT. This is their moment to pick up some more objectives, and maybe the Baron.
It was all provided on the platter as well, Vados. That was the initiation from Kongdu Monster. They did not know where Zach was. You can never make those initiation plays until you can account for which part of the map Zach is on. Zach turns it around. Bang's just walking up. He's going to be a frontliner here on the Ezreal. He's got nothing to worry about, and they're trying to clean up kills everywhere on the map.
Eugene gets spot right before his recall gets off. They kill the Ornn underneath the turret with no minion wave. SKT, they're running away with this one.
And again, the fact that Kongdu Monster gave them the invitation, you don't need to give two invitations to Galio, Zach, Sion. They're turning onto the Baron. Bang is frontlining as he should, with as strong a comp as he has on SKT. The Baron will go down, and this is the worst case scenario for Kongdu. They had finally gotten a bit of stability in the game, but they unfortunately throw far too much of a lead over the way of SKT. Now 3-item Ezreal's going to show up. No one's going to have enough armor, and SKT want to close it pre-35 minutes.
This is what we were talking about. What exactly do you do
Where's
with the
Zach,
Sejuani?
But where's Zach is the question you have to ask when you make a play onto a Galio with Zonias. They didn't ask the question. The Cosmic Radiance is late because the threat was only there when the Zach showed up and they realized, crap, it's being turned around. And then it's just a party. Bang can walk and free auto whoever he wants. Everyone else is unkillable on the side of SKT. That was started by Kongdu Monster and finished with a plum, with a cherry on top, with a smile by SK Telecom T1.
Oh, exactly. It just looks like desperation at that point when you're going in on that one, but they wanted to make something happen. When you're behind, you're struggling for an answer. Unfortunately, that was not the answer they were looking for. So SKT in a fantastic spot. They pick up a second Cloud Drake, which is not even half bad when you consider the composition and all their engage.
Will we see Sion do anything on our screens, Valdez? That's the question. He's 0-0-1, done precisely nothing.
We saw him a couple of times in the top lane. That was about it.
He was roaring, as that's a lot of damage onto Edge. Oh!
Nice little flash. Bang beginning to show off a little bit here.
The Arctic Assault from Yujun just to tank the Mystic Shot that would have killed his mid laner there. Already emergencies on every side of Kongdu Monster. The level leads here. It's 5 levels between Faker and both junglers after all the counter jungling earlier in the game. I should say 3 levels when his jungler's level 13. Level 11 for Yujin. They've had no control over the jungle predictably because of all the globals. SKT, full court press like we talk about, and no good decisions for Kongdu. There's nothing they can do.
They're running around like chickens without heads. There's nowhere to go. Nowhere to hide, really, except in your base.
Roach is just trying to tell himself that it's a single-player game, that he's doing fine on the top side, but sadly, the 4v4 is on fire for Kongdu Monster.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, the top laners haven't had any interaction with this
but
game.
Look who's here!
They'll have an opportunity here, but Soul is getting bursted down. He does have the Cosmic Radiance for now. Look at the backline, though. Bang is going to be locked up here. He's got a lot of people on top of him. Unfortunately, the backline for Kongdu was also pierced. We had the Varus with no escape potential getting taken out. That's going to be a second kill. Faker, Zonia's at the last moment. Looks like they are going to pick him up in the end of this one, but Tall, he wants to get some extra KDA for himself. He wants the kill. He wants to make Sion viable. It's looking pretty viable tonight, guys, as SKT pushing on in, pick up another kill. That'll be another inhibitor here.
Yeah, if Kongdu Monster are diving the Ezreal, he's going to get away, and their carry is going to be very exposed, Val. There's nothing they could do, unfortunately. Needed the peel, didn't get it. SKT looking to break the base in 2 spots, and if they can finish the game right now, that'd be perfect for SKT.
We have our inhibitor timers up here, thanks to Spo TV. Of course, that one on the bottom, about 5 minutes away. They're not going to be able to pick up the second inhibitor as Stahl is getting low. He desperately does not want another death on his hand.
He's holding away.
He's getting out of here. See you
Cowards!
later. No death for him. Just 3 assists. Finally beginning to have an impact on this one. He's making things a little bit more fun for us, Papa.
Sion is always the champion that brings fun to the Rift. All his animations look hilarious, so it's It's always fun to see him roaring minions around and holding up his hammer for comically long. But SKT, the only thing comical about this particular state of the game is just how damn tanky the front line is. We're going to watch the replay here. Consider what happens in this fight. Eventually, Secret and Yujun run up after the Ezreal. Unfortunately, that means that both their carries are kidnapped and is killed by tanks eventually, because we're early enough in the game where they don't have enough lifesteal or any sort of resists to be able to answer the tanks, and Faker does a lot of damage. So if you're not peeling for the Lucian and the Varus, unfortunately, they're going to do nothing. Ezreal's going to at least be able to kite and throw away some Mystic shots. So now we get to see that view of the backline. It was a disaster, sadly, for Kongnu Monster, and in the mini screen, I should say, picture-in-picture, you see that SKT's pushing on the top side.
Wolf actually stealing the kill there away from him, but either way, we have another engage here. Faker going to be able to get the double knock-up into the kidnap. Faker may go down here, but a couple of tanks in the back line looking to get popped, as we do have Yujin going down. Here comes the Zac coming on in. Cosmic Radiance may be able to do a bit of damage to Blossom here, but actually he gets away. Look at Bang on the left side, totally left alone. Nobody can get near this Ezreal in this fight, so no escape as predicted. Gets taken out. 80 carry,
Bang once more.
over 80 carry. He's looking for a couple more kills. Blossom looking to help out. Actually misses that one, but Seeker getting low. SKT thinking about a game 1 victory a little bit faster, perhaps, than they were expecting. A little bit of help down here. Pick up another assist for you, Bang. It looks like we're not going to be able to see that one. They're like, no, doesn't matter. Let's watch Bang dominate a little bit more on the Ezreal.
Supportal combat!
Oh boy, this is getting low. Wolf, oh, we don't get to see it. What the hell? Come on.
There's more fighting, Valdez.
More interesting than this fight. Bang is going to take out an inhibitor. Edge is trying to make this Lucian pick work, trying to convince all the LCK fans. I haven't been convinced so far, although Sion has been very convincing, as well as Bang's Ezreal coming on in. The flash forward and another Mystic shot gets another kill for our boy Bang, and Roach is still not dead. Somehow, some way, Papa.
Yeah, this fight has been going on forever. Roach does live through all of it. He had mana, so he just basically, Bellows Breath didn't die. Soul, Bouncy Castle, goodbye. And this should be the end of the game for SKT.
See you later, everybody, on Kongnu Monster. Give another kill over to SKT. Looks like Bang on the Ezreal should be the MVP of this one. That's going to be game number 1. A very dominant one for SKT.
SKT's draft really suits the team they've become, not the team that they were. With Untara and Blank, they had shown they could not pick up wins with drafts like this, with one true damage threat and a Galio mid lane. With Blossom in the lineup, mistakes and all, anything is possible for the lineup. Kongnu Monster, they had a draft that could answer this team very well, but they made those crucial decision-making mistakes in the mid-game. Usually raised the shot caller for them in the mid-game. He's not being preferred due to his struggles in the jungle. Unfortunately here, they're engaging not knowing where Zac was, passing over kills, a Baron, and multiple other benefits to SK Telecom T1, and they ran away with the game. Comical stuff at the end, the supportal combat, Wolf almost soloing down with the help of some minions, the enemy top laner. But the only thing you guys need to know at home is that Kongnu Monster still have plenty to work out, and SK Telecom T1, they're still a very intriguing team, but they continue their win streak here, looking to make it 3 match wins if they can win game 2.
Not surprising that you see Yujin packing up. We're going to give Raze another chance here, it's looking like. On the side of Kongnu Monster, they do not want to go 0-10 in game score, but the way it's looking, getting outdrafted and outplayed here by SKT, definitely a comfortable one for SKT to go into. And would expect the 2-0 after that victory. We'll see how it does go. But guys, we are going to go to a quick commercial break. Stay tuned. We'll be back with game 2. This time, of course, SKT on the blue side. Blue side 2-0 so far.
Was a Galio Ezreal draft on blue side. Ezreal first pick into Galio in the second round on blue side. But the Ezreal already banned away by Kongnu Monster, and they just don't want to deal with what SKT was winning with in game 1. So double ban towards that strategy. Does mean a lot is going to be kind of left open in this shakeup of picks and bans with SKT back on the blue side. Was 3 bans towards Roach, and then Roach's Cho'Gath was involved in the winning play. So only going to eat a Gnar ban does mean that Orin is a very possible first round here for the side of Kongnu Monster, and no visit from Blossom on his trademark Kha'Zix going to be banned away. Will Faker take a visit to Zoe? Okay, second game for Faker in the LCK, third game in competitive if you include All-Star last year on the Zoe. Was a loss first time out, but we saw some great Zoe mechanics from Faker.
Yeah, you were talking about the different targeted bans in Game 2. It was all targeted against Roach, but not this time. They're taking away some power picks, and that means we are going to have Soul on the Varus this time, but the one big pick you mentioned might be banned out, the Camille. It gets through. We will see Raze on that again.
Might see Zyra Khan on the blue side here for SKT. There's already been quite a lot of thinning of the champion pool, so the Lovers bot lane is confirmed. Ezreal and Kalista taken away. Varus does very well to most other matchups, but the full Zyra Khan for the first time 2018 season from Bang & Wolf. Bot laners for oh so long, and now getting to show their love in a different, unique way. Kongnu Monster thinking about a mid laner to lane into the Zoe. Can go into the Banshee Veil very early on the Talia and just try to wave clear and kind of leave lane. Play the side lanes a lot better than Zoe can. So that's the big game plan here, kind of pretty akin to the Rise game plan in Game 2 of wanting to push, get a side lane turret and roam out, as there seems to be a happy birthday call there.
That's for Suncaster, actually, the host on the side of the Korean desk. It is his birthday tomorrow, so happy birthday to him. Super cool guy.
No jungler yet selected by SKT, so Blossom will not have the Zac. So Game 1 is definitely being thrown out by Kongnu Monster, not interested in a return to any of those. Kongnu Monster looking for secondary engage because they already have Varus and Camille, so the Alistar's a pretty smart ban. Wanting to thin out some of the bot lane options here for Kongnu Monster. Kind of be happy to see them opt into something like a Tahm Kench. It might still be banned by SKT, but Tahm Kench so often gets caught up in the grand entrance and the quickness from the Rakan that doesn't get maximum value. Good pick against the Zoe normally, so interesting to see which second support ban we see from SKT if they go down that route, as double power jungle bans for Kongnu Monster.
Taking away that Senge, the Braum definitely high up there in the tier list in terms of the support.
So we'll see Tahm Kench here again, and I think SKT is happy with this. Tahm Kench does disengage the trouble bubble super well, but as I'm mentioning, you can do so much work with the quickness grand entrance that you can basically CC the Tahm Kench after Devour for an insanely long time. So I don't think you mind there if you're SKT. The Braum and the Alistar would have been better fits for the comp. On SKT's side, maybe Tal jumping on the blind pick gangplank, could be into the Camille, but heavily expected to be jungle Camille from the side of Kongnu Monster. Seeing how they want to round out their draft, and Blossom, been up and down on the Jarvan, we should mention, but 2-1 now on the pick. We'll go for it anyway. See if he can provide a bit more assistance. Maybe he'll be doing the level 2 ganking in the mid lane this time out.
Definitely has an option on that blue side. Quick red into mid lane, especially against Talia, who only has the flash, but definitely will be taking the cleanse along with it against the Zoe.
So what are we doing against Gangplank is the question. Roach has been playing Riven in solo queue, but the Vladimir definitely is more reliable choice. So sadly, we are still denied a second game of Riven in the LCK, the pentakill champion. It's going to be Vladimir instead. Still very similar identity. Seeing a lot more resolve Gangplank. Huni went into that against Licorice in the Cloud9 Echo Fox game. That was against Lucian. Can take the same approach. So Keen do that against Vladimir. And for an early Spectre's Cowl. So we'll see how respectful Tal is in the top side. But they have an interesting draft here for Kongnu Monster. Very different. When it comes to frontline, kind of isn't Eddie. Roach is going to go, obviously, into ability power, have some decent health. Raze will go probably pretty carry once again. Warrior into Trinity Force, otherwise why even bother with the Camille? But on the side of SKT, it's really only going to be the Jarvan as a true tank in this game, and then both supports doing an impersonation. So, very interesting game. A lot of scaling in the top side for SKT. I think these junglers need to be kept tabs on at level 1 though, Valdez, because both of them are going to feel so tempted to go for that level 2 gank and try to dictate the mid lane matchup very early.
Gangplank secured for SKT. You were looking at some win rates. So far he's been pretty good in LCK. SKT able to secure that one. I think it was something like 60% so far for the GP.
Yeah, we definitely have quite a few of those 60% champions, and the Gangplank Global especially, and all that bank planking does a lot, but we'll see if he can actually afford to go bank plank against a Vladimir and definitely be turned around against you. Competitive draft from both sides. Doesn't feel like it's really tilted too heavily one way or the other. But to me, it's all about Raze when it comes to Kongnu Monster. Fool me once, says Faker. Can he fool him a second time and steal away the victory from SK Telecom T1?
Very curious to see if he can pull it off again and perhaps net himself another MVP. We're going into game number 3 right now. SKT versus Kongnu Monster. Fans of both teams still here. Still a filled out audience in the Nexon Arena. And the Kongnu Monster fans even happier after they were able to secure a win over SKT, something that has not happened before. They got O2'd both times in the spring season. And finally this time here in spring of 2018, they're able to pick up a win.
It's actually a really high tension level 1 because, like I mentioned, both of these champions can do very creative ganks early as Raze looked for a level 1 gank, of all things.
Yeah.
Who needs a buff?
Yeah, he needs to pop his potion, actually. Just a small little thing. He's going to get the leash anyway.
And that's why I was saying high tension, because not even just ganking, but even just which side of the map is the Camille exposed on actually affects whether the level 2 gank is coming, what angle it's coming in from. There's a lot going on at the level 1. No late ward bottom side from Faker, though, on this blue start from Kongnu Monster. Means we might just see a visit, but you've already shown your hand, so always interesting to see what Raze wants to do. Uses the blast plan. Not going to be going for gank just yet. Never really know here. The red ward is placed. There seems to be buff to buff here from Raze this game.
Yep, 1-2. Multiple pings on that one brush. Pixel brush that has both the wards there. Zombie ward going to pop now, and they definitely do see it.
Just surprised to see the Edge has gone for Summon Airy this game, not going for Comet or any of the other choices that we see on the Taliyah. A lot of different options you can consider, but seems to be as much lane power as possible. You'd imagine it's going to be Comet and also the Scorch, just for the ability to get Zoe low and then hope that the hookshot can hit from Raze, and that does the rest of the work. The mid lane matchup tilting the way of Kongnu Monster was really the big reason that Kongnu got off to a big lead in game number 2. So recreating that is definitely what they want to do.
I've been playing a lot of Taliyah myself, and when I went through pro builds, pretty much all of them were taking Airy. I noticed that Ian was one of the guys that was actually taking Arcane Comet, but almost all of them were taking Scorch. So you were talking about lane dominance. Taliyah has tons of pushing potential early on, but also poke potential in the lane before Zoe gets strong, and looking to take advantage of that. Although you do see some nice respect out of Edge, as he has no vision down. He's just sitting back in the lane, scared of that Jarvan.
Also the sort of game where you'll know that Taliyah against super tanks, you know, Scion, for example, his secret might steal away the Rift Herald. The Rift Scuttler, I should say.
Gonna help out with the clear, too. Give the gold over to Raze. Look at that.
With no super tanks in this game, there is actually the chance that Taliyah's late game damage can actually be compared to her early to mid game. She's always monstrous when she doesn't have to push damage through tanks, but show the Jarvan. A lot of low health, low survivability members on the side of SKT. As looking for an early roam, seen a lot of early turret dives top side, but doesn't have Camille in position to pull that off here. And Tal did go into the Kleptomancy, so we have seen Resolve Gangplank in the LCK and in the NALCS recently. But just going to be going secondary Resolve, taking a bit of magic resist, and playing respectful is the way that Tal has decided to go this game.
Yep. Also has the Relic Shield. We'll pick up a bunch of gold from just poking down Roach up in the top side with that. One of the only players in the game that's not in the bottom lane that does still pick that up. This bottom lane not going to be interesting just yet.
Yeah, level 6 needs to be hit, so there's actually options, apart from just devour the AD carry, for Wolf to try to play with. Always interesting to see which ability a Rakan maxes first. You see Q max, you see W max, everything except E max after the Ardent Sensor nerfs. Also foresee a very early visit from Wolf into the Zeke's Convergence has been a big favorite rush item onto Rakan. Talk about that more if we see it.
But for now, not seeing too much. We were talking about that tense early game, and so far, it seems like the respect out of both teams in just the prediction of that tense early game has led to a lack of action, at least so far.
God tier warding though. Double control ward on both sides of mid lane for Kongnu Monster. Means literally no worries whatsoever from Talia to push, and push and roam was her first thought. Pretty difficult for Kongnu Monster pre-6 to actually make something happen in the bot lane though. What?
Guys.
Some synergy issues between Faker and Blossom we noted in game 2, and I would say the communication still needs a bit of work.
I think it happened at the exact same time there.
Sure, but
so he was doing it over the wall, but
just to let you guys know, the comms are working, by the way.
You just be like, okay.
You know we get pauses when we have headset issues, so the headsets were definitely working.
They're going to clean up one of the control wards of the side of Kongdu.
On the upside, when it comes to clearing the control, it takes a really long time for the enemy to do it. You can try to bait them. I'm trying to find a silver lining, guys. You don't want a double control ward to brush. Only time you ever see that is around Baron, just to basically guarantee that control ward is there. You just double control ward it, so the enemy can't clear it fast enough. Ray's on the front foot again. Pushing through mid lane, backing away. Control ward is cleared top side, so that's good news. Bot lane, trade's going pretty well for Kongnu Monster.
Yeah, it was getting close, but there are too many minions there, and Bang ate way too much damage, so they're going to back off. They're not going to be entirely healthy, but you'll notice that neither of the bot lanes have gone home just yet. So they're going to be looking for the backs, and whoever gets that back safely enough is going to be in the advantageous position, of course.
Vision does start to swing the way of SKT now that both control wards have been cleared out. On the side of Kongdu Monster, a little bit more threat onto Talia. He's just picking up blue buff as we speak. Tal has decided he is the ultimate investment banker. He also has the Cull now. SKT happy to play a long game, and you can't really... It's kind of an interesting duality, because when you're against a Vladimir, you can go super respectful, resolve into a second item Spectre's card. That's what we saw from Keen for Freak of Freaks, go very respectful against Vlad, because Vlad does have a lot of turret dive options against a Gangplank. Or you can do the opposite. It's a really weird mind game, but you go super disrespectful and then just basically bait the enemy top laner to outplay themselves. Usually when you see something like a Cull Gangplank going Kleptomancy against a Vlad, as the Vlad player, you're like, you're doing this against me? You know, you want to turret dive them, you call your jungler. But the enemy knows that. The enemy team has that same information. There's a lot of interesting to and fro when you go this particular route. So we'll see if there is any jungle attention. For now, it's isolated. Roach is opening up a CS lead, but we all know Gangplank. It's not going to be leading to a gold lead anytime soon.
He's having a ball up there. Neither of the junglers have had an opportunity to do much in this game. Everybody's sitting at 0 everything. As Raze, he hits level 6 though, so we'll see if he wants to make a play up towards the top lane. There's currently no ward.
Is a stopwatch though, so stopwatch, flash, and ultimate here to try to get himself out of dodge.
As well as Blossom, who's nearby.
Talia is also on the front foot. They're looking for the roam and the contest on blue here.
Those two control wards cleaned up as they're coming into the blue, and the smite, it goes over to Raze, and there it is. They're getting on top of Blossom with the Hextech ultimatum. First blood comes in. Teleport not needed. Faker trying to make things interesting here, as well as Tal making his way down, but Roach got here first.
Here's Wolf.
Okay, Wolf coming on in. Tal getting low. Look at him. In the face of danger. The flash, he misses both. So close. He may have been able to one-shot both of them, as they were both incredibly low, but missing by inches. Faker not able to pick up a kill.
And that was his own flash as well. Wasn't one that he picked up. So summoned it down from Faker, not able to get an answering kill. Goes back to mid lane. Won't even be able to push. Needs Wolf to come and help him push the lane. He's completely out of mana. SKT trying to defend, even though they had investment banker Gangplank against Vladimir, and the first rotation was always going to come in from the Talia. It's actually turned on them. Blossom has been outsmited a couple of times by Raze. Invader's advantage, I guess. Comes in, smites, ultimatum. It's already level 6. Nothing Blossom can do. They could have just ended it here, but 2 low health members from the side of Kongnu Monster. Roach first to react, able to escort out his duo. They go top side after seeing the teleport. Let's watch Faker here. Looks for the flash. Good decision from Kongnu Monster. Both of them cheating the right way. They don't split the difference. That means both of them live.
Everybody loves to talk about how OP Zoe is, especially as she gets fed, but you got to be on point with your skill shots. He missed one earlier at the blue buff location. The second one was a lot harder to pull off, I'll let you know, but kind of unfortunate that he could not secure the kills in that situation.
So if you guys are wondering where this game goes, because we said already, low tankiness on both sides, a lot of common things. Kongnu Monster, my read on the draft here is that basically they win early items in every lane. So one item, I think they have a massive lead over SKT. Gangplank going to be inching towards Trinity Force. But when you're talking about one item, Talia, Rageblade Varus, Vladimir also being able to pile on early power. I feel like the early power purchase for Kongnu Monsters have that extra oomph early. But SKT take it at 3 to 4 items unless Roach is just completely monstrous, either in a side lane or getting into the back line. So SKT have a lot of scaling options. Can't do so much scaling when there's already aggression from Kongnu.
They're going to lock down the Rakan early, who tries to get out of there. No wall just yet out of Edge. He doesn't have it available, actually. And the TP coming on in from Faker means that they're looking to get away from this one, not committing to the engage. No Weaver's wall, as they do not pick up any kills.
Yeah, execution onto quickness and also the Feather Storm from Bang and Summoners both up on the AD carry. It's very difficult to complete that dive. They thought with Tahm Kench they could take extra turret shots.
Oh.
Teleport ended up answering it. Here's the Weaver's Wall.
Okay, they have both their globals up now. Where are you going to go from here, Bang? Does he even have the Feather Storm? No, he does not. Was burned earlier on. The Gangplank ultimate does not help out, and that's going to be another kill going to Kongnu.
And whatever the result of this series, A for effort for Kongnu Monster. They're definitely committing to the plays, respecting cooldowns when SKT has them, but when they don't have them, showing the killer's edge to actually return and pick up the kill. Great Weaver's Wall into the Abyssal Voyage, gets Bang second time around. So 2 kills on the board to Kongnu Monster. Kongnu are once again ahead of the play, and SKT, with no Galio, are behind it.
Yeah. It's really just a smart play, using the strengths of their comp. They're trying to come up here onto Roach now, but you'll notice that they're scared too. And Blossom is down 3 levels on the Vladimir, who is very farmed at this point.
Vlad with Summoners up and a stopwatch. Good luck with that one. So the call is to disengage. Edge has been the most impressive player in this game for me. Both of his Weaver's Walls have been clinical and then some, so great to see him on a pick that he liked in the past. 2 games this season, 2 losses, but with Raze on the front foot, Raze not being just a non-factor as he was in series after series recently, him being at least relevant in the early game and Edge rotating smartly has meant great things for the side of Kongnu. We're going to see the replay. Remember that they know everything is down bot side. SKT can see Tahm Kench. Both of them pull away. Wolf's first thought is to walk up and contest vision. Edge is the one with the killer instinct. They just come in, they gap close, nothing Bang can do. They held their cooldowns from before, didn't get greedy on the turret dive, and this time they can be clinical on the second visit bot lane.
It's something that you have to predict, right? You can't really outplay that many globals and ultimates being used onto an AD carry.
Well, you outplay by not being there, right? There's
exactly. You need to predict it. You need to say, okay, the Tahm Kench backs away. He must be going for something sneaky. And unfortunately, they could not predict it. Nice bit of damage coming out here, but he does get away. It is Camille.
The selfless thing was the Edge was still bot side, right? Usually the mid laner, you're a Talia player, your first thought is, I gotta get mid lane and catch the wave, I gotta go pick up CS. But he overstayed bot lane, trusting that the play the second time around would work. Not usually the way of Faker, who usually is so much more dominant on the farm, but Edge trying to play the team game, gets his team a big lead, and he also has a CS lead of his own in mid lane, so things going very well for the Summoner-airy, early game focused Talia.
Love those kinds of plays where you can talk about it for lengths on end. This time it is predicted, as there is some vision. The question is, do they get out though? Wolf trying
Raze
to go
is
in.
all alone this time.
Yeah, he's got Secret and Soul, and in the end it just ends up being a zone. Edge this time coming in, but nice response as a team from SKT. Cannon Barrage means no turret. At least not enough damage to take it out.
Speaking of not a lot of damage, look at this. Raze actually on Cinderhulk on Camille. First Cinderhulk Camille we've seen in the LCK. Never picked in solo queue either. So after all his deaths in the previous game, he wants to guarantee his ultimatums earlier. It took till they finished Guardian Angel for him not to just be popped through the Sterix Gauge Trinity Force damage build he went last game. This time around, very early game focus builds means it would be just an ultimatum as the game goes on. But it does mean that ultimatum is likely to last the full duration, so level 11, getting the longer duration on the ultimatum seems to be the window that a build like that is playing around.
It's a cool idea. I mean, they have some extra damage on their composition, so take some away for other benefits. Tal sitting up here. It looks like he's having a hard time, but he's already got a Trinity Force, and his turn hasn't gone down just yet, so I'm sure he's pretty happy so far.
And this is just in a 1v1. There's been no impact of the top lane, the jungler top lane whatsoever, only on the invade around blue buff. Did the top laners actually have any proximity to the rest of their team? Yep, standard gangplank, not much to talk about there. Most of the action's been bot side. Zion Rakan. We knew it would be big come patch 8.2, where no longer the fact that Rakan can't happily go into Relic Shield could be exploited. The fact that he could go happily elsewhere with the double Relic Shield bot lanes moving away. We knew it would come back, but so far, it really hasn't had the same payoff. We saw KSV lose with it first game on 8.2. Seeing a struggle here in the early laning phase, but largely that's just been laning phase mistakes from SKT. Bang being too confident to walk up against globals rather than anything about the Zion Rakan. See how things develop though. Top lane will eventually go down. So isolated 16 minutes and solo turret gold means this Vlad is going to be hitting second item super fast. I wonder if it'll be Leandri's or the teamfight choice in Azonia's. Both of them could be considered. With stopwatch up, you could understand going the higher damage route.
Yeah, I'd like to see that out of him. Okay, we have another engage here, but again, it's Tom Ken's looking to turn this around. You'll notice the Weaver's Wall coming on in, as well as the Camille. They're looking for a pick. They get Wolf on the side, but he actually brings down the wall to secure the kill here. That's going to be enough. Raze gets caught up, but again, will they go for the counter here? Tal made his way down with the TP, but they're not confident enough to go for it. And another kill secured here by Kongnu.
And the buddy system is really working out for Kongnu Monster. They're always investing 5. Edge finds Blossom. He's 3 levels up, but doesn't want to take too much free damage.
Oh, they're looking for it. Look at this. Tom Kent's coming on in here with Roach, but it's not enough, as Tal and Faker are there to support.
Both AD carries isolated, considering a dive onto Soul and contest the blue buff. They're looking for the maximum here, SKT.
I love this series. It's been action-packed the entire time.
It's been very different from expectation.
Yeah.
Golden Monster have not rolled over. Ray's been able to find a footing in an early game for the first time, and it feels like 5 series. And it's meant so much for the team around him. But Vladimir, Talia, they're both in the base, so this will be first strike of the game to SKT.
Nice one, too. They pick up that mountain. Gonna make things a bit easier. And the objectives, of course. Meanwhile, Faker was pushing mid. Nice little dodge there. Ooh.
No Banshee Veil yet. Gonna be built second here by Edge. Yeah. Obviously the build path has always been criticized because you don't get a Negatron Cloak, you only get a No Magic Mantle as you work your way slowly towards it, and it feels bad to sit in the inventory. But that's definitely needed at this point in the game. Edge is known as roll. Push up, try to roam. The roams have worked. But if it's an isolated mid lane, it's no fun for the Talia. Raze
caught by the quickness, not able to hookshot away just yet. There's the flash in the face of 3 people. It's definitely not enough to get him to safety.
Roach will cancel his teleport. Would have had backline access, but no one there to actually help him out. Looking towards the Leandries like we predicted. But Tal, if we ever do turn over to the gold, I'm sure it's going to be very competitive, even though he's down 50 CS. Actually has turned his Relic Shield into a Targon's Brace, so we'll have a little bit of extra warding here on the top side of the map. Usually we just see it stayed at Relic Shield and then sold, but it's a bit of a different approach here, a bit more extra health. He's going to be in a duo lane a bit more often because they have been pushing as 4 or 5, and then the Relic Shield healing will be a relevant thing to talk about as well. Mid lane.
Looking for a play here. Just a bit of damage. Doesn't get caught by the knockup, but we got Tom Kench coming in too. That's going to be 3 people. The Chain of Corruption gets the Jarvan. Blossom forced to flash out of there. Stopwatch by Edge as he tries to dodge the damage from Faker. It's enough. Now Soul in an awkward spot, but there it is. The huge knockup onto 3 of them as Tom Kench gets everybody in the action. But here comes Roach from the top lane looking to turn it around, but it's not enough as Secret gets low too. Faker doing extra damage. That'll be 2 more kills for SKT.
Yeah, SKT catch Kongnu Monster in transition. A Hemoplague and then backing away for a free farmed Vladimir is exactly as what you want as SKT. They're going to push through the mid lane. Looking for 2 turrets here, SKT.
Oh, there it is. Soul getting super low. He's forced to flash out of that one just to make sure he lives.
That was the one-shot attempt. He used his own flash again. Doesn't get the kill, but chunking out Varus gets them the second turret they craved. And SKT have their first meaningful gold lead of the game.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about the first pick Zoe here for Faker. So far, it's been looking pretty good. I like the idea out of SKT. He's only been allowed to have that Zoe for the 2nd time tonight, and he's showing it off. All that solo queue practice paying off in dividends.
But it's been fun. I mean, you've alluded to it multiple times, how this game has ebbed and flowed. SKT understands that Kongnu Monster wants to push mid lane and then roam with the Taliyah Global. Zoe doesn't play side lanes well, so why not bring the fight to Zoe? Playing through the Zoe lane is the right way to approach Zoe against a low tankiness comp. And Kongnu Monster opt into it by teleporting to the mid lane with the Abyssal Voyage. And then it's fish in a barrel for Zoe and Tal. Even free hitting by Bang as he gets here towards the end. And this is SKT's win condition in the mid game. Attack the mid lane, play through the Zoe lane, rather than the side of Kongnu Monster, who are trying to play anywhere except where Zoe is.
Yeah. If you're going to criticize Blossom, it's not going to be about his mechanics. He's been on point tonight. He's looking pretty good, as we have seen. Right on point with the triple knockup as Tom Kench makes it a triple knockup. Look at the gold. Extremely competitive this time around in Game 3.
And they can't allow the game Kongnu Monster to snowball away from them. They'd never want to have Roach just trading farm with Tal in a side lane. This game plan will always out-gold, and certainly scaling-wise, very, very similar into the late game. Tal himself has reinforced the 1v1. He's gone for the Executioner's Calling here to allow him some side lane pressure against the Vladimir. We saw this same item picked up for Gnar by Smeb in the last series that KT Rolster played right before the end against Kongnu Monster. Last series we had before the break. So he's only going to be really proccing it realistically on his Q most of the time. Doesn't get into auto range that often against Vladimir, but a lot of small parts means that right now the power level of Tal's very low for a Gangplank. He has a lot of small items and a Trinity Force, but if he's able to side lane for a long time and then just have an ultimate and they can win 4v4s, that's how SKT are playing. So going towards the Zoe and having Vladimir lose the minimum is how SKT is approaching the mid game.
Well, they're pushing up in the top side now, but Kongnu wants to make things interesting. Let's see how the Abyssal Voyage comes in, if it does at all. Thinking about an engage, but not going for it just yet. TP coming in from Vlad.
It's pretty deep, though.
Yeah. And the sleep here onto Secret. He's a Tom Kench, but still, at the end of it all, they could not really find an opportunity to engage. Rochi eats it, but he's got a Tom Kench.
Teleport canceled by Tal. He's going to ult now.
Oh, no knock up there on a Secret, but it is going to be enough. Even Ray's getting knocked up in there as he jumps in. Cataclysm comes in, no hook shot for Raze, but they're getting up to Bang here, who does have his Feather Storm, getting themselves into so much trouble right now as Kongnu. Vladimir trying to do his best, getting a lot of people low, but he just doesn't have the damage. Blossom almost died, but he baits him in the triple kill from Faker. Looking for the Quadra here as Soul is low as well. Going to be a rough one, not able to secure it. And all the while, Tal in the bot lane, just farming up.
It was a 4v5 and SKT win the team fight. All ends up playing through Faker. Not a new plan, but certainly a good one in this particular game. They're on to Baron, but while Kongnu Monster may have vision, can they do anything with it? With Ray's dead, the answer is almost certainly no.
Absolutely here, as they'll just try to answer the GP, who may have gone a little bit far. Edge doesn't even have the mana to get in there and do anything, and Gangplank just too fast. So the Baron goes down. The tower is saved, at least, in the bottom lane.
Losing so much 4v5 has to be disheartening for Kongnu Monster. Feels like the moment where they've been pushed too far. Looking at Razor's build, we mentioned he only has the Locket and the Cinderhawk. He wants to fight now because he knows they'll be outscaled in terms of damage. Notice that Tal was teleporting. He cancels it and realizes that SKT is going to go aggressive. And from here, we mentioned the fish in the barrel a couple of times. The ult goes down. Blossom can just dive into the backline. Soul and Roach are so heavily split from the rest of their team. There's no threat onto Faker. And while Roach gets into the backline for a while, they can't complete any kill. SKT's fighting front to back and also with plenty of long-range artillery. And Kongnu Monster can only run away. Here it is.
Whoa.
You know, he probably would have preferred Soul, but he'll take the time catch, that's for sure.
If the Trouble Bubble hit, that was a quadra easy. But just a bit wide. Decided 3 kills is enough for that fight. As well, the game has been torn open now by SKT. Winning the fight, getting 3 kills, 4v5. They pick up the Baron and a couple of extra turrets, and they're looking for more.
Yeah, Gold Lade's balloon is 7,500 gold lead. After that passage of play, watching SKT pushing up. They're also pushing up in the top lane. That's probably going to be the easiest turret as Gangplank is finally adding on AD. Most damage dealt in the game is the Gangplank, just Gangplank things. Edge has Banshee Veil, but one Paddle Star accounts for just about 40% of the Talia's health total.
Or even a bit more, as she picks up some more items later on.
Ghost and Flash on cooldown from Roach. No backline threat for the Vladimir right now.
Someone's going to have to block that. It will be Raze. Secret, meanwhile, going for the Devourer. They're pushing 2 lanes at a time as Kongdu look lost as to how to defend this. Thinking about that engage, but they can't quite get the knock-up with Blossom. I said 2 lanes, but they're actually pushing 3. Yep. As it is in the top side as well. May just be a swift end to this one if SKT decide to push in for the risky end. May not even be risky as they're looking for Soul here. Weaver's Wall. Blossom still had his stopwatch, and there it is. Enough coming in. The flank from Roach wants to get onto Faker, and he may do so, but will it matter in the end? He pushes him out of the fight. The 3rd inhibitor will go down here. The 2nd one, rather. The 3rd one getting low up in the top side. They're just looking for the end at this point.
Yeah, just able to ghost away. Vladimir dies in the back end to a Paddle Star. I'm sure that was big damage. It's going to be the 2nd next turret, and SKT closing it up.
Blossom looking for some extra damage. Wolf getting flashy in the end, but SKT looking better towards the end of this one. Going for the end, picking on that Nexus. There it is. Game number 3 will go for the 2-1 victory for SK Telecom T1.
The SKT faithful roar, but they know this was a very difficult game. Better part of 2.5 hours to take out Kongdu Monster. Came in strong in Game 2. Game 3 was a lot cleaner. The early game looked like once again maybe Raze is going to be able to engineer something onto the side of SK Telecom T1, but went tank, and then they made some bad decisions in the 5v4, overforced, and it was pretty clear for the close there for SKT. 2 passages of play basically decided the entire game, behind 2,500 gold into winning the game in less than 10 minutes. Faker Zoe on the LCK stage, first victory, but we know Valdez, it will not be his last.
Well, we'll see if other teams decide to ban it out, but as you mentioned, only the 2nd time we've been able to see him on that pick, and he looked exactly the same as if he had just lost the game, basically. If you look at his face, it's really hard to tell. He's been around for a very long time. He'll take the wins and the losses in stride. He knows there's a bigger goal in mind, and winning one Game 3 against Kongdu Monster is not enough to make him super happy at this point.
There's just 2 distinct phases of the game. Kongnu Monster understood that to win with this draft, they had to play around the Zoe. Great plays in the bot lane. Looked like they were going to actually snowball SKT really hard, but they never got the turret, Valdez. It's still up this late in the game on the bot lane outer turret. They were targeting again and again with the Weaver's Wall and the Abyssal Voyage plays. Faker was able to ghost away. Let's see how big this Paddle Star is, by the way, because remember, Roach dies through all of this.
Oh, there it is. It's 1 into 2.
Into death.
Yep, see you later. You get caught by the trouble bubble. Of course, no flat, or rather cleanse.
But the first
On
phase,
the Vlad.
Kongnu Monster attack bot lane, get them low, get the kills, don't take the turret. The second phase, SKT play through the Zoe, force Kongnu Monster to react, and that phase was short and also very triumphant for SKT.
So there you have it. SKT, they get another win under their belts, 3 in a row up against BBQ, KSV, and now Kongnu Monster. Going into the second round robin, though, is going to be a huge test for them. They have to go up against the top 3 teams. Once again, KZ, KT, and Afrika, definitely some hard opponents in their future.
But they started 1-5, and to find themselves 4-5 going into the end of the first round robin for SKT, it's more than their most ardent fans could have hoped for. They have come together so strong around Blossom in the 3 best of 3s they've played with them. This was an action-packed one, probably too close for comfort for most SKT fans, but does end up being a comfortable Game 3 victory. 27 minutes, a lot shorter. Maybe the new norm. We're not to know about patch 8.3. Kongnu Monster, good ideas at the start, but 2 big mistakes against SKT. They found a rampaging SK Telecom, and from 20 minutes to 27 minutes, the game ended.
That's all it took for them. Kongnu Monster even in the lead there right before 20 minutes, but SKT turned it around. Faker Zoe lightened up the rift in this one.
I mean, just look at the scale. It went, in 7 minutes, they found a 13,000 goldie. We're talking almost 2,000 gold a minute. Just 2 big plays, honestly. The 4v5 team fight and then just the end of the game. But so many victories, piled them up, and Kongnu Monster closer. A better series from Kongnu than we've seen from them in 5, but an honorable loss does not help you when suddenly the relegation battle that 2 weeks in was looking unlikely for Kongnu Monster. They're right back smack bang in the middle of it, Valdez.
Very true. They're going to have to look elsewhere, perhaps towards KSV once again, if they're going to look for more wins in the second round robin.
2-7 for them. KSV, unlikely defeat, but still a defeat against Kongnu Monster. That 2-0 kind of haunted KSV have never really regrouped since they lost to Kongnu Monster. We'll see them in the second series, but before we get to that, how about a chat with Faker?
Might as well. I mean, definitely deserves it here in this game. Can't really look towards any other player that made a huge impact in this one outside of Faker.
So the numbers for Bang around 1345 on kills, 1533. 2,000 career kills on the horizon for Faker. We know he'll make it there. He's the greatest player to ever play this game and certainly the best player from Korea. So congratulations, Faker. 500 MVPs, time to close the race. I believe Tucson is still first at 600 points.
Catching up to our support player at the top of the MVP rankings.
Hey, Faker's never been the LCK MVP. He was in the Champions era, never in the LCK era. So another title for him to try to pick up.
So guys, we're going to throw it over to the interview here. I'll hand you over to Jisun, our translator, to translate things. We'll see you in a bit.
선수 그리고 페이커 선수의 인터뷰가 여러분을 기다리고 있습니다. 함께 만나보시죠.
자, 오늘 경기 이렇게 마무리가 됐습니다.
So here we brought Bang and Faker, who won against Kongnu Monster today in 2-1 victory. So please give it all to the 2 players. Congratulations. We have a lot of crowds and a lot of cameras shooting for you guys. How do you feel?
제가 좀 상대 이제 콩두 원딜 선수를 좀 시즌 시작 전에 좀 경계를 했었는데.
Well, I did know that Kongdu's AD carry was a great player, so I was a little bit aware that today could be a little bit tough for us. And to Faker, you made some great plays, but also it was some hard times during the games too, right? So how do you feel?
아직 설날이 끝나고 합을 맞춘 지 얼마 안 됐기 때문에.
So I think we had quite a long vacation, so yeah, I thought I was worried about our teamwork, but I think it was better than I expected, so I feel good. Yeah, it was a little struggle for us, but I think it was all okay.
집중력이 굉장히 좀 좋았었던 멋진 경기가 많이 있었는데 뱅하면 또 여기 떠오르는 것 중에 하나가 아무래도 그 홍천의 아들 아니겠습니까?
And Bang, speaking of yourself, you are really proud of your hometown, Hongcheon in Korea.
평소에 굉장히 많이 한다는 얘기를 들었어요.
예.
네, 그
Why is that?
들었었는데 제가 알기로는 남한에서 최고 큰 지역이라고 그러더라고요.
And I heard it is the biggest province in South Korea. Is there anything you want to speak more about your hometown, Hongcheon? It's three times bigger than Seoul,
물도 많고
and there are a lot of mountains and great environment, and people are so nice.
강원도
Yeah, it's a beautiful place in Gangwon-do, the province in Korea.
머금고 있는 홍천.
청정의 고장입니다.
Yeah, it's a very clean and environmental place in Korea.
대사로 자리 잡고 있지 않을까라는 생각이 좀 들었습니다. 그만큼 이제 지역 사람들을 굉장히 많이 보여주셨는데 어떻습니까? 일단은 1세트
So,
조금 더
on the
좀
first
말씀을
set,
드리면 사실상 좀 이번에도 건강 걱정하시는 분들이 굉장히 많았어요.
well,
일단
there
좀
are
다리가 괜찮을까
a lot of
좀
fans
있었는데
worried about your
실질적으로
like health because we've heard that your legs are quite broken, right? Is that okay?
응급실을 2번을 갔다 왔어요.
Well, I actually went to hospital
네.
twice during the vacations
축구를 하면 안 되는데
because I'm not supposed to play
했다가
soccer
이제
with my
발생이 또
friends, so
터져가지고.
it has got worse.
그러니까 실제로 터진 건 아니고 그러니까 좀 많이 부어가지고
Yeah, it has swollen a bit,
네.
so
평소에 이제
I have to
지장
go to the
없고
hospital.
지금
But yeah, it
진짜
doesn't
거의
really
다행이네요.
irritates me a lot, so yeah, I think it's all good.
팬이라서
어떻게 아시죠?
미안해요. 좀 쫓아갔어요. 네, 좀 약간 스토킹했어요.
So yeah, I'm a big fan of you, Bang, so I was really worried.
건강 괜찮으신 거죠?
So you're feeling all good, right? Yeah,
네.
I'm
그럼
feeling
1세트 주요
perfect.
장면들 좀 보면서 한번 얘기를
Then
나눠보겠습니다.
let's check out some highlights of Bang from the first
주요
set.
장면 만나보겠습니다. 좀 보시면 설명해 주실까요?
예. 이거는 좀 해서는 안 되는 플레이.
Well, actually, that was kind of risky play,
네.
and this one,
이 장면 어떻게 보셨어요?
딱히 제가 잘했다기보다는 그냥
I think it's not my super
안
play.
이게 그러니까 그렇게 막 잘했.
Yeah, it's
그럼
not
이거는요?
that much of a great
이거!
play.
많이
아까 그
못했어요.
장면이네요.
And
감사합니다.
yeah, this one is what I said. It was a risky,
이 장면
not
분명히
too good
잘했다고
play.
소리를 너무 질러가지고
예. 제가 봤을 때는
And
그렇게
yeah, I think it's a
잘한 것 같지
repetitive play,
이건
and I don't think it's a really
네.
the highlight of the game.
리플레이 잘못 잡았네요. 이거 말고
Well, I guess it wasn't a perfect replay of the first game, right?
한번 지켜보시면 좋을 것 같고 사실 그 페이커 역시 1경기,
And
2경기,
speaking
3경기
of Faker,
치러내면서
throughout the three sets,
라이즈의 활용들도 있었고 라이즈 같은 경우는
you
뭐 좋긴
picked
좋은데
Rise,
좀 뭐
right?
달라진 장면도 많이
In the first
있었다는 얘기
game.
있었거든요. 그 뭐 이렇게
So how do you think about
확실히 이제
the
초시계가
patch on Rise and also the ultimate change with the stopwatch?
어려움이 있을 것이다라는 생각이 있었는데
So is
미드를
Rise
갖고
being
선택을 했더라고요.
근데 저는 어차피 초시계 궁극기를 잘 쓰지 않아가지고.
Well, I actually don't use the stopwatch ult a lot, so it doesn't really matter to me. But like today, I got rid of my stopwatch, and there were so many ganks in the mid lane. So yeah, I had a little regret that if I had stopwatch, yeah, it could be better.
사실 그 사이온에 관련된 내용들도 많이 등장하더라고요. 그 팀
And
단위적
there
측면에서
are a lot of mentions about
가까이
Sion.
라인에서 어떤 그 도움들이 좀 있었나요, 페이커 선수?
What kind of plans did you guys bring up with that?
좀 자신 있어 하는 것 같아요.
Our top laner
네.
has a lot of confidence on it, so yeah,
네.
we thought it would be great to play today.
팀적으로 탱커가 있으니까 또
And also, it's really good in a team comp because we have tankers. Yeah, it was easy for me and Bang to do a better team fight.
집요한 미드 갱들이 좀 이루어졌었잖아요. 그러면서 분위기
In
자체가
the second
사실
game,
좀
there
어렵게 흘러가는
were a
장면이 좀
lot
많이
of
있었는데
ganking in
그거
the mid lane.
지켜보시면서
How
어떤
was that?
생각이 있었죠?
일단 이 경기 때 제가 조금 생각을 잘 갱킹 생각을 좀 잘 제대로 안 해가지고.
Yeah, I think in the second
많이
game I
당했는데
was unaware
그다음에
about the enemy
집중력이
gank,
떨어졌던 것 같아요.
so yeah, I was
하지만 3세트는
a little bit
올라오는
focusing
장면이
less. So
있었는데
yeah, it was a
어떤
bad
장면이 좀
play
많이
for
좀
me.
머릿속에 떠오르나요?
Then
뭐
moving on to the third one, what was the highlight of your play?
딱히 기억나는
네.
장면은
Well, actually nothing special.
들어왔을 때 제가
But
혼자
when
그 장면.
when
그 장면. 잊지
last
마시라고
team fight, I
저희가
caught
영상으로 준비해봤습니다.
down Vladimir by myself, so maybe that one.
요 장면이죠.
You're speaking of this one, right?
죽은 줄 알았는데
네.
I actually thought I was
뒤쪽으로
dead,
빠져나가가지고
but
기가
I
막히게
realized that he
바깥에
didn't
이쪽에
have
모든 스킬들이
ghosts,
가격된 장면이
so
있었거든요.
yeah, I was
뭐
lucky
이
to
전에도
take him
너무
down.
좋았습니다만 언급하신 바로 이 장면을 놓치지 않고 한번 잡아서 3세트 아주 주요 장면으로 봤는데 사실 그 두 분 모두 사실 그 설 연휴 동안에 좀 굉장히 바빴다는 얘기 좀
So
들었어요.
I heard you guys were both busy during the
좀 여유를
holidays,
좀
right?
했었고 뭐 이런 얘기 좀 들었었는데 설 연휴는 뭐 잘 보내시고
So how was your holidays?
네, 저는 아마 4일 정도 쉬었던 것 같은데.
Yeah, I think I had 4 days off.
꼬박꼬박 PC방에 출근을 했고요.
I went to play games with my friend 10 hours a day. I hanged out with my friends a lot. Yeah, I had a great
좀
vacation.
편해졌고 그게 경기력으로 좀 잘 드러난 것 같은데 아니 근데
What about you,
보신 것
Faker?
같아요. 뭐 가족 여행
I
하시는 얘기 좀
think
들었었는데
you were on a family
일본에서도
vacation and
어떠셨어요?
also meet and greet in
제가
Japan,
PSG
right?
경기 끝나고 다음날 제가 바로 다녀왔고요.
네,
Yeah,
일본에서
I went to
e스포츠 열기가
Japan.
어떤가요? 네.
확실히 제가 좀 경기장에 간 것이 아니기 때문에
Well, I was
잘
in a
느낄 수는
esports
없었던
stadium,
것
so
같은데 뭐
I couldn't really feel the fever in the esports in Japan. But yeah, it was a great experience. Yeah.
것 같은데요. 사실 끝으로 사실 블라썸 선수가
Lastly,
아직도 두 선수를 너무나 어려워하고 있습니다. 두 형을 너무 사랑한다는
Blossom
얘기를
are
지금
still
많이
impressed
들어가지고
with you guys. Do you guys know?
계속해서 이제 블라썸 선수의 움직임을 봤는데 자신이 그 개인 채팅창에
So last time,
끝끝내 엔터 키를 누르지 못한 글이
Blossom
있어요.
wanted
제가 다시 한번
to
말씀을 드리면
send the message on the League of Legends client
근처 블라썸 없죠? 그럼 제가 좀 말씀을 드릴게요. 페이커에게는
to Faker,
떡국 드셨어요?
how was your holidays?
떡국 먹고 싶다 이런 얘기를
But he couldn't press the enter
다섯 번
key.
정도 반복을 했대요. 자 그리고 뱅 선수에게는
And to Bang,
형 사랑해요를
he typed,
꾹꾹 눌렀었는데
I love you, Bang,
엔터를
but
치지
he
못했던
couldn't press
정말
enter
안타까운
either.
장면들이 있었습니다. 그만큼 블라썸이 존경하다 보니까
I think he does admire both of you guys.
좀 어려워하는 것 같은데 오늘도 진짜 파이팅을 많이 해줬잖아요. 블라썸
Is there anything you want to say to
한
him?
말씀 해주신다면요.
네.
네.
오늘 좀 경기 할 때 약간 풀이 죽어 있더라고요.
Well, I saw he was a little bit
있었고,
depressed during the games.
그래도 어느 정도 게임할
Well,
때
he made some
잘
mistakes,
해줘서
but I really want to thank him that he
잘했던 것
performed
같습니다.
well today.
얼마나 잘했으면 잘했다는 얘기를 했겠습니까? 정말 블라썸 잘했다는 얘기고요.
And
그리고
Bang,
저는 뭐 일단 범찬이가 저희를 좀 더 편하게
I
게임
hope
안에서는 다 똑같으니까
Blossom
그쵸.
feels a little bit more comfortable with us
또 그냥
than right now
열심히 잘해서
because we're all just teams, right?
꼭 저희보다 더 높은 선수 될 수 있도록
So I hope he can become a greater
자,
player in the
그러기
late in the
위해서는
days.
그 기운이 굉장히 필요하거든요. 블라썸 어디 갔나요? 블라썸
So
어디
we
있어요?
want to bring Blossom up here,
아쉽네.
but
블라썸이
sadly
있어서
he's not
불러가지고 기분
around.
좀 전해주려고 했는데 자 그리고 저희가 이제 페이커 선수
But we brought some special
주어진 선물이
gift
있다고
for
합니다.
Faker.
네,
Here you go.
흰티 3개입니다.
It's a 3 white t-shirts.
평소에 워낙에 사랑을 많이 주신다는 얘기 들어가지고
Well, you
저희가
love
특별히 이
white
흰티 3개를 한번
t-shirts, so
준비해봤는데
we brought something special for you.
어떻습니까 이 흰티?
How do you
어떻습니까
feel?
이 흰티?
How do you like it?
감사합니다. 덕분에
Thank you very
힌트가
much.
103장이 되었네요.
Now I have 103 white t-shirts.
그냥 겉으로 보기엔 평범한 힌트.
It looks
네,
like
저희가
a normal
마음을
white
담겼으니까
t-shirt.
그 흰티 소중하게 써주시기 바라겠습니다. 끝으로 오늘 그 SK텔레콤 T1이 새
And
연승을
lastly,
달성하면서 지난번에 보여주셨던
you
그
guys
느낌들
are
어쩐지
in a
이어가고 있는
3-win
팬들이
streak
좀
right
보여주고
now.
있는데 이 3연승 역시 SKT다라는 느낌을 지금 팬들이 받고 있거든요. 팬 여러분께 한
So
말씀
is there anything you want to say to your
부탁드릴까요?
fans?
저희가 좀 길게 보고 플레이오프까지
I
갈수
think
있으면
we're really hoping to
한번
make it to the playoffs
계기로 올라갈 수 있도록
and in the end to make it to the finals. So we just want to make sure that we're gonna keep our consistency and stability in our performance.
네, 오늘 저희가 KDM 콩두전
Today
승리를 따내는데요.
we
다음
had
경기도
2-1 victory against Gyeongdu, so
승리를 따내도록
we're gonna make sure to win the
네,
next
선수를
matches.
만나봤습니다. 그리고 이제 블라썸 선수가 도착을 했으니까
And
끝으로
we
세 명의 선수
have our
승리 기운을
special guest,
함께 나누면서
Blossom.
포옹과 함께 오늘 MVP 인터뷰를 모두
And we're ready to say
마치도록
goodbye to our
하겠습니다.
fans.
세 선수 모두 고생하셨습니다. 수고하셨습니다. 기운 한번 주세요. 네, 기운 한번 주세요.
So this will be the end of the
지금까지
interview,
SK텔레콤 T1의
and I'll hand it over back to you guys.
Well, that happened.
I love Spo TV interviews, man. They're so good.
If you just tried to like run down the clock of what happened in the interview, it'd be a great story. There was a lot of cool stories there. Bit of hugs. Hugs were needed. Blossom had an up and down series, but they keep winning with him, so they'll keep running him. Very interesting series between Kongdu Monster and SKT. I'm sure you understand what they were talking about with Blossom, where you write a message but you don't send it. The same as back in the day, you would write a letter but not post it.
Yeah, you know.
Do you have any letters for me, Valdez?
Not yet. Maybe after we cast a little bit more. I don't know. You know, I need a little bit more time before I commit, Papa.
Well, commitment is what SKT with Blossom does, and when you have great mechanics with the EQs, the flashes, oh my, there was so much engage on the side of SKT, especially in Game 1, but Game 3, the same sort of initiation, proved them well. Faker could play Zoe, big surprise there. And from here, SKT, it's so interesting because where are they at is this question that's so hard. I feel like if you take any analyst and say, is SKT better than Kingzone?
Cause I be like, whoa.